Hello, and welcome back to the Arc of E podcast. My name is Noah.
And my name is Gavin.
And we're the Blanchard brothers here with part 3, the grand finale of our year-end wrap-up pods. Talking about movies. Why we saved it for last, I'm not quite sure. Except that's the main focus of this podcast, so there you go.
Yeah.
Weird year for movies.
Very.
I'm going to put out the hot take that this was a very weird year for movies.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of the issues surrounding the film industry. We will give our top 10s. We will give our extended honorable mentions. Tell you where you can watch all of these things, because I think a majority of them are just straight up available at home, as are most things. But yeah, this was a year obviously where we kicked it off with like, dude, it may show up on the list, whatever. We're gonna say movie titles because that's that time. We start off the year with Bad Boys for Life. We're feeling good. We're excited about the year in cinema.
Yeah.
And that was one of the last 3 or 4 things that I saw in a theater before
number one.
A huge gap. And now, again, I have been to the movies several times over the last couple months because there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And I just wear a mask and I wash my hands and I've been good. So there we go. Just saw a movie last week, actually.
What did you go see?
I don't know if we talked about it. A movie that's not on my top 10.
Okay.
Freaky with Ben Spawn.
Dude, I've been wanting. I wanted to rent it.
And it was definitely a case where like I basically paid as much as I would have to have rented it at home. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. I will watch it again at some point.
Just in case you're wondering, Bad Boys for Life still top domestic box office.
Yeah.
Right behind 1917.
'Tis the king. Where's Tenet on that list? Out of curiosity.
Not in the top 10, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. The subtitle for my list this year is 41 movies that are better than Tenet.
Why don't you call it 14 movies that are better than Tenet? Because
I have 41 of them.
Well, it's the flip, but Tenet is number 14 on the box office this year.
Oh, okay.
Domestic. Now, I don't know about international. We're not worried about international because it doesn't matter.
Because this is America.
Yeah.
God damn it.
This is America.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't get you slipping, though.
So,
look what I'm whipping, though.
Weird year.
Weird year,
The box office is in tatters. We pretty much covered it all right there.
Right.
So, on the new news front, just because you and I haven't talked about it on mic and I haven't really gotten your thoughts on it.
Okay. Who do we not like this week?
Oh, it's not an individual.
Oh, okay.
But the HBO Max, Warner Brothers kerfuffle, all of that stuff.
Yeah?
And the reactions to it. Do you have any thoughts?
You mean that like I'm going to get Wonder Woman on Christmas and then
there's obviously the consumer perspective, which is like, cui bono, who benefits? We do.
Right.
But, yeah, do you sympathize with these directors who, like, kind of without notice had their projects just like, hey, it's on streaming now?
But here's the thing. Did you get your check? Did you get your check? I know you
singular check.
No, I'm saying like, did you get your check for this movie?
Oh, yeah, did you
like,
secure?
You got paid, right? Exactly. That's my thing. Here's the thing.
And of course, there's all sorts of back end stuff that they just know is going to be,
like, technical.
And to be clear, all of this, even the hurt feelings in the midst of it, it's all about money. It's literally all it is. So it's hard to get too upset when you're talking about, for the most part, millionaires.
It's just the same as baseball. It's just the same as all these sports things. Do you know that adjusted, thanks to forensic accounting, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves didn't make any money? Therefore, Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman both weren't able to collect a sizable chunk of money for their performances?
Right.
Right. It's all about forensic accounting.
Yeah, you just say that like, oh, no, we still owe this guy in Uzbekistan who lent us A, B, or C.
It's funny. Okay, we're just going to pull a thing from like a show I hope Netflix doesn't cancel, Ozark. There's an episode.
You do realize the most recent season you got, I believe, was the final season, or the final one is coming up. They have announced the end of that show.
Right, yeah, there's one coming because I see on there now like it's official, one more season. Okay. But I think it's REO Speedwagon or some band they're trying to get him to do, and he's like, hey, could we throw in this, throw in that? And the manager gets on the phone, it's like, hey, this guy wants us to launder some money for him. You guys down for another this? It's like, yep. Okay, cool. Click. The guy in the music industry knows what it is. You're just trying to wash your money through it. It's the whole premise of that Canon documentary, that the guys in
Golden Globus.
yeah, all they were doing was just laundering money. That's it.
Yeah.
And so the idea that like, I get if you're a direct like, it's weird because musicians, all of them got in an uproar when Napster and free stuff came out. A lot of them.
A lot of them.
Specifically Metallica.
Sure.
But like now, you want your shit anywhere you can get it.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, if this happened to someone like Colt Wolf, because I don't know about you, but I loved Chuck Hank and the San Diego Twins, and it's number one on my list. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now. But like, if you are them and you're like a tiny production studio and you're throwing everything you have at it, if you haven't sold your movie and you haven't gotten paid for it and someone swoops in and messes with your deal, I could see that, because like, to me, that's like, movies aren't cheap, but at the end of the day, we talk about with TV, it's the same thing with Netflix. There's tons of stuff out there that gets made. There's more and more streaming things that are going to happen. And at some point, I feel like it will be like a level playing field of like how I talk about, you have kids in their rooms now, like Lil Nas X we talked about a while back. He put something together and he's like a huge music star now, but he came kind of just from relative obscurity. You're going to get to the point with, when it comes to making movies, if we haven't gotten there already, that like, you're going to have people come out of the blue and give you things that you want to watch. And so it's kind of like, if you're, yeah, it's like, if you're mad about if you are a big name director and you're mad about this and mad about the money, remember that you are a starving artist at 1.2, and there are still plenty of them out there. And I guarantee you, a studio would be perfectly happy to just go ahead and not ask you to come back and do something and give somebody else a chance. I mean, your big guys are going to be fine. The big people who demand the big salaries, they're going to be fine. Nothing to worry about.
No, again, we all benefit from
Right.
this. And bottom line, theatrical distribution and exhibition is still going to be in tatters this time next year, when all of these things were still going to be coming out. And it's
Right.
like they've punted and punted and punted, and now they have one studio in the midst of all of this decided, like, all right, we're just going to fucking bite the bullet. We're still putting every one of those movies out in theaters, and I would say maybe like half of that slate, if theaters are still the way they are currently, where there's nobody in them, but I feel safe going, I'll probably make the effort to go see those in person. But and then, but it's on HBO Max for like a month, so I can watch it again whenever I want to. Mm-hmm. And that's my thing, is I'm like, people who still want to have the theatrical experience are still having the opportunity to, where movie theaters still exist. We have 3 left in my like 50-mile radius right now,
Right.
around me. That's down from like 15 or 20, to be clear. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just, it
Plus,
makes sense to me.
at
And
the
it's
end of the
like,
day,
again, it got me excited about the fact that I already have HBO Max, and like, the stuff's just going to show up now.
Exactly.
Like,
I was
that's
when
that's
Wonder
it.
Woman
That's
happened.
all
I was
it
like,
really
all
did.
right, great.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to do on Christmas. Yeah. But you got to think about it. And I would love it if somebody could show me the chart for it, because it exists out there in someone's accounting department at Warner Brothers. Oh, okay, somebody's mad about this thing. It's kind of hard to sell Wonder Woman toys when Wonder Woman isn't available to you.
Right.
So if you don't have to spend the $20 to go see Wonder Woman in the theater, and you have a streaming service that you can watch it at home, well, doesn't that leave you like $20 to go get your kids Wonder Woman toys? Or Wonder Woman, a Wonder Woman cup from Subway, wherever the hell they advertise with? Like, the money to be made, you're losing money from the marketing and the advertising dollars to come in, the toy rights, all that.
Well, that's
you're
the
losing
other
that
thing.
on the shelf, leaving it on the shelf.
Think about also what you're saving in terms of the normal like package you would make of trailers and
Exactly.
all of that. If it's all funneled towards this one thing, and like you're doing the trailers in house, like you're saving so much on the ad budget that you would normally need for these giant, massive $150 million plus movies. You scale that back, like that again. I do not see. I know people are freaking out because they think like this is the future period. I do think at some point we'll get back to people feeling comfortable going into a theater in droves, and I think there will be movies there to draw them out. In the same way that they thought Tenet was going to be this like magic pill for everybody, and it totally wasn't, and it basically is part of why this decision was made in the first place. So it's kind of satisfying to see Christopher Nolan like literally like crying in public about it essentially and acting like a hurt girlfriend. It's very amusing, and yeah.
Well, and see, by that time, we'll just have it piped into our eyes because we'll be so far along with technology. It's like, oh, I want to watch Tenet. Click. Oh, that was cool because you have it.
To be clear, it's also available on VOD like today, or
Yeah,
maybe
is.
it was. Yeah, I think Wednesday was the drop. So if you want to watch Tenet at home, as Christopher Nolan totally wants you to do, check it out.
Yeah, only 2 movies on my list I saw in a theater, so I'm pretty sure you know what they
Interesting.
are.
I mean, I'll mention as I go. I think a few more, but a lot of stuff that was streaming and or VOD rentals is mostly what made up my list. Okay, one other bit before we jump into the list, and I totally want to kick this off. This just broke today, and I was just curious if you saw it. Did you hear the audio of Tom Cruise?
No.
I kind of want to play it for you.
What did he say?
So, they're shooting Mission Impossible 7 right now. In the midst of the pandemic, of course.
Uh-huh.
Hold on just a moment.
Did he have a Christian Bale freak out meltdown about someone not wearing a mask? I would love that.
It's pretty great.
What? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Damn it, I'm good. I swear to God, I didn't know anything about this. I worked today.
Yeah, me too, buddy.
I mean, I spent most of my work typing up this nice list, but, I did work today.
Vamp, please. Try and find the article.
Vamp is like my least favorite Metal Gear Solid guy. I like the fortune angle is kind of nice.
He's pretty cool.
The transsexualism, that's provocative. Did you see that Hideo is in 2077? Cyberpunk?
I mean, not in person, but I did see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are loading.
I can't wait for this. Is this like good or a bad thing?
I mean, I was very happy with it.
Okay, good. That's what I'm
pleased. Because I just wanted to get your react.
I'm a little nervous because I
hadn't heard about this.
That's a movie star.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What is this in response to? Somebody showing up late, somebody taking their mask off. What happened?
We don't know exactly what, but apparently it was like an escalating thing where like there had been instances of crew breaking the COVID protocol, which part of which he put in place because he's a producer on the movie.
Right, yeah. He's got money on the line.
He's got a lot of money on the line. Not that it matters to him on it, like, but dude, I was like, dude, that's the best acting he's done in years.
Yes.
And it was real and raw. I was like, dude, where is that guy on the movie screen? Like, can we bring him back? Can we go back to 99 and like early 2000s, please, sir? I would still love everything he's done recently. But that reinforced, I was like, dude, yeah, we could talk about the Scientology stuff all day long.
You know what I wanted, I wanted him at the end to be like,
that.
the show goes on. Like, I wanted the show goes on in there somewhere. But that is that like makes me so fucking happy and also like so fucking turned on at the same time, dude. That guy fucks, man. Like, that's a fucking movie star. You take your hat off, son. That's a movie star. Like, Jesus. Like, because it's
Can you imagine being the person on the receiving end of that where you're just like, he's by all accounts, regardless of, again, we could talk about all the crazy Scientology shit, but by all accounts, he is one of the most personable, like, nice guys in person.
You have no defense
to
that.
See that switch get flipped, dude, I would be literally shitting my pants, like, on the spot and just, like, so apologetic, like, sir, I'm so fucking sorry. But I would never fuck up the protocol in the first place.
Exactly.
So there you go. Okay. I thought you would enjoy that.
I did not. I had no idea that was a thing,
That is
dude.
Tom Cruise's perspective on film production in the midst of a pandemic.
And he is so fucking like on point with everything, though. Like, I get he even says like, I will deal with you reasonably, but if you cannot get behind this, fuck you, you're gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not even like firing anybody there. He's just literally laying down the law, like, do not fuck up again or you're done.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're gonna cost. I don't know what happened. You did it. You're gonna cost this guy his job. And again, it's
leaked audio. It's not like it's not something that was like, this is meant for the public. This is literally him just like going off on his crew.
Can you imagine the person who leaked it? Like, you think they're still working there? Do you think they went to him afterwards like, yo, man, I recorded all that. Like, I'm gonna put it out there.
But you know now on the press tour for the next Mission Impossible, he's definitely gonna have to answer some questions about this. But it's also like, what are you mad about? Like, what's the angle to ask him about it? It's like, yeah, I said some real shit. Sorry I cursed so much. Yeah. Okay.
They're just going to ask, like, Tom, any more outbursts? Any more problems? He's like, nope, I said it once. That's all I needed to say. And that's it.
He's like, I think I pretty much said it all in that 3-minute clip. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that.
That was great.
Good way to kick it off.
Indeed.
And I'm going to go ahead and say, I think you should lead off with this one. Give me your number 10. My favorite film of 2020.
A little film called Synchronic.
Hell yeah.
We talked about it recently.
We did.
It's a Wilbur and Bernstein joint.
I still don't believe it's available VOD for people.
Not yet.
We saw it theatrically, independently of each other, but we did see it in the theater.
Yes.
And so keep an eye out for it. That's why we had a very spoiler-free conversation. But talk a bit about it.
I'm really happy that someone's given Anthony Mackie another vehicle to lead. I think he's great. I did just see a new updated trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Looks like that's going to be great.
We almost should probably. This is technically supposed to be the last podcast of the year, but we could do a whole podcast on the Disney and Marvel announcements from the last week. Because the amount of Star Wars and Marvel stuff that we're getting in the next calendar year. I'm like, is there going to be anything else to watch on television?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, shit.
What? Yeah. Sorry.
No,
Synchronic.
Yeah. You've said it before. You got to watch one or two of the other ones that they've come out with to get this.
And this,
it just, but to me,
is
Wilbur and Bernstein. That's what I'm calling them, dude. I get that it's Woodson
Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead.
Benson and Moorhead, Wilbur and Bernstein.
Yes, Benson. That's cool. And Moorhead.
If they're listening, this was great, guys.
You guys are fantastic.
Yes.
We're pretty much everything you guys have done so far, I absolutely love. So just keep making more of it.
Exactly. I like the premise. It's a unique take on traveling through time. So many little intricate things that like could be bigger things, but you take them as they are and you just roll with it. but it leads I don't think I've discussed a movie so much with people this year about the possibilities that were there just through like little threads of a shirt or something. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know. I saw it with somebody and you saw it by yourself, and I mean, it's only really two people I've talked to the movie about the movie to. But just in my explanation of telling people what I saw, like when I went to work, they seemed intrigued. So
I think when it hits VOD and people have a chance, I think it will definitely, hopefully, start a chain reaction of people checking out their earlier movies as well. I just don't know how you market to them unless it just pops up for you next on streaming or whatever. But let people know, like, this is part of a greater universe at this point, so there's more to explore if you want to. Because it's just kind of pitched as, like, this is the plot, as opposed to, like, this is the
culmination
Benson
of three
and Moorhead, like, production. Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah, number 10,
very, very solid pick, sir. My number 10 is Wendy from Mr. Ben Zeitlin. And this was one of the last two movies that I saw in the theater before the initial shutdown.
I think before we continue, we have to say, if you saw it in theater, you have to say it like you just said. I saw it in the theater.
I did. I saw this one in the theater.
Okay, there you go.
The Terrace Theater, to be exact. I saw this, I believe, followed by Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which technically is not eligible for this list. We got it in 2020, but technically it's a 2019 release.
How so? Was it wide 2019, or was it in a film festival?
It was New York and LA, and it was in Europe. It had premiered and like played and everything. We just physically didn't get it here. But because of the way they do the weird Oscars, and you can only submit one film from your country, which makes no sense to me whatsoever for the foreign language film, France decided to go with a different film, and it's like, if it was Portrait of a Lady on Fire against Parasite, Parasite probably loses the foreign, but still wins Best Picture, and like I totally would have been fine with that. Anyways, I'm not talking about either of those movies. I'm talking about Wendy. Ben Zeitlin did Beast of the Southern Wild.
Oh, okay.
About a decade ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute,
while.
Yeah.
Yes. Wendy is basically a modern reimagining, reshuffle, remix, wholly new interpretation of the Peter Pan story, essentially.
Does it feel like necessary?
Does it feel necessary?
Well,
most critics and people who did happen to go see this, which was not many, while it had its brief theatrical run before it inevitably ended up on VOD for a very low rental price, they would argue no, that it was not worthwhile. I would completely disagree. The main criticism about this movie was that it was too much like Beast of the Southern Wild, and they were like, it's been a decade, man, this is only your second movie, where's the growth? And I did not understand that criticism at all. And also, comparing it to one of the most unique and exciting indie movies of the last decade, as a negative, I couldn't wrap my head around that one. I think it's as good, if not better, than Beast of the Southern Wild. Kept me engaged the entire time. The cinematography is gorgeous. Some of the effects in this movie were helped by old Coat Wolf Productions, actually. They did some second unit for him on this. And yeah, long gestating project. Some people felt like it was not worth the wait. I completely disagree. Part of it was the magic of my private screening that I got to have for this one. And it blew me away. It brought me to tears. I loved it. It's a very cheap rental, and I believe you can buy it for like $5 right now on all of your normal VOD services. That's my number 10, Wendy from Mr. Ben Zeitlin. I want to make sure I'm saying his name right, because I haven't said it in a while.
Oh, okay.
And make sure that I'm thinking of the exact same director. But yeah, go for now. Go ahead and hit me with your number 9.
My number 9 is a little Amazon movie called Get Duped.
Still have not gotten to it. Sell the people on it. It's on my list, but this was not one that I felt like I absolutely had to get to.
Yeah, I get it. It is. I don't know if this is indicative of like movies in Britain and like the UK. Like if this is the style they make.
Is this the year of England for Gavin?
Is it? Maybe it
for
is.
You, personally,
this is the year I go home.
This is the year when Gavin finds his true inner Anglophile.
Yeah. But they're in Scotland, so like, is that even England? That's it's the Scotland.
As far as you're concerned,
it is. It's all one island.
Fucking same.
It's all
as far
one
as you're
fucking-
concerned. To be clear, I know the difference, and I would never confuse the two.
Yeah, you cross
Or
into the
three.
north. I get it, I get it. Jerk off. You tosser. So. Yeah, it's a bunch of kids doing the Duke of Edinburgh challenge. Turns out, like, the rich.
What is the Duke of Edinburgh challenge? Can you tell us that, or is it spoiling too much of the movie?
It's just I don't know if it's a
Is it
real
a drinking contest?
No, I don't know if it's a real thing. I think it actually may be a real thing. I don't know. I didn't look it up. It is basically like a Boy Scouts kind of guide thing where you have to
Okay.
go into the Highlands
Okay.
and go to certain places and do stuff, like, to complete a journey. Now, all of them, 3 of them are there because they're fucking terrible kids. They're just like the annoying, like, British youth that you would be
Right.
like, oh, these fucking kids. But one of them is a Boy Scout and, like, fucking loves it, doesn't do drugs,
Okay.
isn't a DJ, it comes from a good home and whatnot. And all of a sudden, like, someone's out there trying to kill him, and they're like, oh shit. And they don't know who it is. They
Okay.
can't tell. And it's a fucking wild comedy. You talked about they've been in the Run the Jewels video, the actors who were in it. I think you would enjoy it and get a kick out of it. So I definitely want you to.
I'm getting hints of like a British version of The Pest.
Maybe, yeah, a little bit. But if you split Pistario Vargas up into like 4 different characters.
Speaking of which, The Pest has to be a 2x2 retro review.
Yes.
Sometime in early 2021.
Let's do that. I'm game.
Talk about a podcast. No
Why
one
don't we do
wants,
that
but
one?
we are tailor made for.
Let's do that one with
Minute by minute.
No, let's do that one with Leguizamo's latest one, because that one sounded really good.
With him as the teacher.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but
It's been on a bunch of people's lists because he's done a lot of amazing shit since the past.
he's one of our boys.
I know.
From the early
he's
days
an
of watching
OG.
movies together.
Yeah.
Leguizamo's like he's god tier level for sure.
Oh,
He's-
definitely.
He's up on the top pedestal.
Yeah.
Love Johnny Legs. Okay.
Get duked. You gotta watch.
I
it.
gotta get duked, man.
Yeah.
I gotta get duked.
Eddie Izzard's in it.
Amazon Prime, correct?
Prime. It's a Prime movie. It's free if you have Prime. Go watch it. It's on Prime right now.
Eddie Izzard, yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
And then what? He's in like every fucking thing.
It's very helpful.
Scottish gentleman. He looks like he'd be Tormund Giantsbane's father.
Brendan Gleeson?
No, not him. The other one. He's in Braveheart. The big red.
Brendan Gleeson?
No, not Brendan Gleeson. I will find it for you. The guy who's not Brendan Gleeson is in this. And it's wild. But it's one of those. It's
Domhnall Gleeson?
all. Gleeson.
What's the other one? There is one more. I can't remember his name. He's the less famous one.
He's in here somewhere. Let me find him. Because you're going to. James Cosmo. This dude. At the
Hold
bottom.
on a moment. Let me take a look.
You know him. He was. You know who that is. Yeah. You don't know what his name is.
Yeah, I don't. Anyways, okay,
Yeah.
he's in it. Cool. I will check it out.
It's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, definitely did not see, I had a nice smattering of comedies that I enjoyed this year, but only one that cracked the top 10.
Oh, okay. I have a couple comedies.
And we'll
on
talk
here.
about it in a minute or two. My number 9 is Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. We talked about it way, way earlier in the year. Just super hard-hitting little indie movie about kind of the state of what it takes to get an abortion when you don't live in a state that has legalized abortion. And it'll tear your heart out in the best possible way. It is so grounded and naturalistic. Fantastic performances, top to bottom. Not a fun watch, but also not unbearable where you it's not one of those either. It's just kind of note perfect. But basically, girl has an unwanted pregnancy. I won't get into the details of that. I'll let you discover that in the movie. And she can't get one legally in the state that she lives in, so she has to go to New York City to find a clinic, essentially. But she can't bring her parents, so she and her, it's either her cousin or they're just best friends. I forget, honestly. But so these two young girls are maybe 9th, 10th grade. I'm not sure. I forget. Have to navigate New York and that whole process and what happens when you don't have a place to stay and you're in a city that you don't know and you have nobody there to reach out to. All of that stuff, fantastically done, and I highly recommend. I think it's still a rental. I don't know that it's free streaming anywhere now, but Highly recommend it. Just, yeah. Lots of feels in that one, but a very, very good one. Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. That's my number 9.
Okay.
But yeah, easiest way to see it, VOD, I believe, for the time being.
My number 8 is a little Netflix movie called The Five Bloods.
Table it.
I figured you would want to do that. Let's move on to your number 8.
My number 8. This is the only like out and out comedy in my top 10. It's available on Hulu. It's picked up from, I believe, Sundance. I think it was Sundance. It was like the highest dollar amount acquisition by 69 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is this? Do I need to table it, or
You
can I say
probably
what
should.
it is?
Yeah, you
Okay.
probably really should.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the table then. So we'll skip back over to you for your number 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
My number 7 is Borat subsequent movie film, or Make Bribe for Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, whatever. It's
presentation
presentation,
of
whatever,
ceremonial monkey to
yeah,
Premier Mikhail Pence.
yeah, yeah.
Or any of the other brilliant titles that they throw out
I
throughout
love
the
it.
movie.
Yes. Again, we've talked about it a few times.
Yeah, it's come up at least 3 or 4 times.
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
why
in
it's
the
my
last,
number 7.
like since it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, just the comedy in it is amazing. I'll say again, the ending is fucking perfect for me. Everyone I've watched is just like, yeah, it was just like kind of like having an old friend back for like lunch or something. It was just like kind of like dipping back in, and it's like almost like perfectly what we needed right now. Like we didn't need a new Sacha Baron Cohen character.
Yeah.
It was enough to be like, okay, shit's fucked up. Like it was getting bad, but now we're, to come in the same year that he's kicked out of office, elected out of office, like, I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, the main thing that I feel like you and I keep coming back to in our conversations about it, and you just kind of hit on it again, it was like just meeting an old friend again. And I loved how much Borat there was still in there. And I just found myself less and less focused on the gags and the bits, and just like, I forgot how much I just like hearing him talk, or like hearing the stupid misogynistic jokes that are like pitched at the exact right speed, like all of that sort of stuff. And again, the quality writing and the improvisation, like in moments, is just there's nobody else quite like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the highest compliment I could pay it is, given the huge gap and what a huge impact it had when the first one came out, like, it's a cultural phenomenon.
Oh yes, definitely.
And still quoted to this day. To be able to come back and like, is it just not really like piss off anybody? You know what I'm saying? I'd never heard the take of like, oh, this was horrible. Like, why did they do this? Totally sucks compared to the original. It seems like everybody was pretty much like,
We've been waiting on it.
By the way, we got it for free. We didn't know it was coming until like 2 weeks before it came out, and it's pretty good. And I laughed a lot, and it took my mind off of some of the stuff, but also reminded me about the severity of it, but like kept it light the whole time.
Right. And I mean, like I've said before, that man stood up in front of everybody at the beginning of this year and railed about like social media and how, essentially back in the 40s, if there was Facebook would have taken Hitler's money.
Yeah.
And then like 8 months later, but I have this new Borat movie. Why don't you check it out? It's like, did you just disappear for 3 months and shoot this and then edit it in like 4, and now it's for us? Because it feels like I didn't see or hear from him after that conference anymore.
Would love to see an entire doc.
Oh,
like
dude, I would love
Borat
it.
2.5, where they
Oh my God,
they
dude.
just show us the behind the scenes of
Yeah,
how
that
the hell
would
they
be
did it.
great.
But I also don't want the magic ruined at the same time. Yeah.
All right. So you're number 7.
My number 7, unless you squeeze this one in, hopefully will not be tabled. It's Possessor Uncut.
I wish.
From Mr. Brandon Cronenberg.
You've already sold me on it.
Yes.
I don't need you to sell me on it.
I know you don't need me to sell you on it. I will just remind people this is Brandon Cronenberg's second feature. It stars one of our favorites around here, Andrea Riseborough. Another one of our favorites, Christopher Abbott, who's recurred quite a bit. One of my favorite actors of his generation. And you got Jennifer Jason Leigh hanging around. And so I have
we were just talking about her.
Literally no complaints. Yeah, we were talking about Rush downstairs before we started this. Definitely due for a Rush rewatch. Okay. The basic setup, semi-futuristic, but not quite. Assassins, essentially, that operate by possessing other individuals, literally like taking over their mind and controlling their body to make them do things that they do not want to do. which usually consist of them murdering somebody that needs to be murdered in particularly violent fashion. It is
Talk
brutal.
about a clean getaway.
It is, yes. Or an unclean getaway
Dude,
in the case of this one thing that goes awry.
I'm gonna have to rent it. Like, I might just buy that shit, dude. Like, seriously,
it's $10.
I might just do that.
Just pick it up. I highly recommend it to anybody who likes sci-fi horror, good solid thrillers, and again, not to put down, some movies to praise and raise up others. But I talked about this at the time because I saw them very close together. This is a very high concept movie that has a lot of different stuff going on, that is very confident in the way it presents itself to you. Tenet is a movie that's very high concept, that has a lot of shit going on, that is so worried that you're not going to enjoy the ride if you don't have all of this fucking exposition piled on you, that it just like crumbles under the weight of all that exposition. For me, personally.
You know what should happen though? The next one he makes, he should just have Michael Caine pop up on the bottom right of your screen and tell you what you need to know.
I would.
So
love,
in this scene,
I would love,
you need
and
to know.
Chris, I know you're listening.
Yes.
And I've been a little rough to you this year, but I just want you to know this: what you need to do is you need to get Michael Caine, and you need to. I mean, he did it. He's done it several times at this point, but you need to do the definitive old man British gangster movie.
Yes.
With one last ride with Michael Caine, and you need to like win him an Oscar, and you need to dial it back and make a really like ground level, solid, dark thriller like Memento or like Insomnia. Those movies you made like really early in your career that are really, really fucking good and aren't like completely disappeared up their own asshole, incepted into their asshole. Yeah, you do that and maybe just like stop complaining about theatrical exhibition, make a really, really good movie, and don't spend $240 million to do it, and then we can talk, man. Then maybe I'm back on board, baby.
Because, I mean, right now, that James Bond 1917 guy, he's got you beat. Sam, what's his name?
Sam Mendes.
Mendes, he's got you beat, dude.
And he's got his own issues.
Yeah.
But I still, if I had, well, I don't know. I like more Nolan movies than I like Mendes movies, but that's another conversation.
Or
for
maybe they
Wilbur
Wilbur and Bernstein it and they make one together.
The Nolan and Mendes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like those are two big personalities.
I mean, one might be able to influence the other in ways we don't know, Noah.
Who knows? To be clear, my number 7 was Possessor Uncut, which is readily available for rental or for purchase.
I'm just going to go buy it.
Wherever
Happy Christmas to
VOD
me.
is available. It's also going to be, I think it's already on Blu-ray.
I might
If you
just
want to
grab
pick up the old 4K, highly recommend it. One of the most gorgeous looking movies I've seen all year. And I'm glad that I got to see it in a theater.
Say that one more time.
So far, that is 2 on the list that I saw in theaters. 2 of my top 10 so far.
Right.
That was my number 7, Possessor Uncut, Brandon Cronenberg. Fucking just masterful movie. Can't wait to see what he does next.
My number 6 is a little Hulu movie, a little comedy from Hulu. I believe it's on the table.
Well, maybe we can take it off, unless you're talking about Happiest Season.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't you
Pretty
say
good movie, by the way.
Yeah, you say the first word, I'll say the second word. Go for it. The movie
Palm.
Springs.
Okay.
Boom. Done. All right. We talked about it earlier.
We did a mini review, but again, a lot. I've noticed we do get an uptick on like our year-end episodes because people like lists and they like guys, just fucking boil it all down, and I'm gonna listen to it here. I don't need to hear all the extra bullshit
Exactly.
throughout the year. So, with that in mind, yes, we have talked about it, but refresh people's memory.
Woman goes to her sister's wedding.
Yes.
And unfortunately gets stuck in a time loop
Yes.
with Andy Samberg.
It's Groundhog Day.
It's Groundhog Day at a wedding, and
It's a modern take on Groundhog Day.
right, yeah.
That's pretty much the simplest version
And
of it.
J.K. Simmons
But
is
it
in it,
shows, yes, a lot of great cameos and flat out the funniest movie I saw all year. It's
I concur. No, I've
had
got
to double check his list. But
I
he
got
concurs.
I've got a couple that I thought were funnier, but like they didn't make the list.
Chaffee. Well, I love Groundhog Day. It's a fucking masterpiece. It's one of my favorite movies. But it shows how, it seems like an easy pitch. Oh, it's like Groundhog Day, but this or that. And they've done it with horror movies. They've done it with action movies, etc. And it's like dipping into this territory where it's just like, we're going to make another essentially romantic comedy with this conceit. but it shows how malleable this concept is, and really you can apply it to, and how you play with it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially knowing kind of the like, there's a certain amount of like discovering the rules and then figuring out the rules, which is some of the most fun stuff of the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's your bread and butter right there. The montages of the rules is amazing.
And it's gorgeous looking. It hit at a time when like people had been in lockdown for a while, so it was nice to just see like a big open space,
fucking giant
gorgeous
pools. Like,
cinematography.
it was great.
Yes, and again, a lot of heart to it as well. One of my favorite romantic comedies just ever at this point, and like I said, the funniest movie I saw all year personally. Yeah, Palm Springs, to refresh your memory, was gonna be my number 8 if you would have let me talk about it. But
Okay.
so that was your number 6.
Yes.
So back to me for my number 6.
Yes.
All right. My number 6 is from Miss Kelly Reichert. It's called First Cow. I believe we also talked about it a bit earlier in the year. To refresh your memory, this is set in the early days of... Oh my God, let me just get you a date. Let me get you a plot description from old IMDb. Sponsored by IMDb. All right.
Excuse me.
This is kind of the Oregon Territory Gold Rush era, you know, bursting into America. Everybody's trying to get land. Everybody's trying to, like, what's the next thing? Get rich quick, etc. And it's going to sound so boring, but it's about these two guys who happen to find and meet each other, and they start a little business selling different desserts and pastries made with the milk of the only cow in the territory that they surreptitiously gain access to in the evenings. They straight up steal this cow's milk and make delicious treats with it and then sell it to people. And they got their, they got their upstart entrepreneur, like, go out and make something of yourself, American ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, this cow didn't belong to them. So, trouble ensues.
Oh.
Movie moves at its own unique pace.
A cow's pace, if you will.
Theoretically. This is my first Kelly Reichardt movie. It will not be my last. I now have to dive back through like all of her stuff. Meek's Cutoff, Wendy and Lucy, Night Moves, not the Gene Hackman one.
Night Moves.
Yeah. A lot of good movies to choose from, apparently, but this was the first one I dove into, and I was just like, holy shit. Again, slow burn, moves at its own pace, has a very, like, just a quiet beauty to it. I love all the performances. Really sets you in the time and place. Just one of the most, like, I'm just there. Like, you just kind of feel like you're just slightly off camera, just sitting there watching all this stuff play out. And I don't want to spoil it, but it has... I kind of have to think about it as I work my way through the list. It has maybe my favorite ending of the year.
Okay.
Like final shot, final moments, just incredible stuff. Highly recommend it. Not for everybody. It's one of those that like you're going to see on a lot of year-end lists, and people are going to tell you it's incredible because critics absolutely love it. And then you might watch it and be like, oh, what the hell? I feel like you will vibe with this one.
I'm sure,
I feel like you'll get into it. But yeah, that's First Cow from Kelly Reichardt, and that is my number 6.
Okay, so we're going to my number 5. Getting into the meat of it now.
Into the top 5, and we did it before we're even an hour into the
Yeah,
podcast.
I know. We got a lot to talk
moving
about.
at a brisk pace. At a brisk pace.
My number 5 is
Scotch. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to do a whole voice. My number 5 is The Rental.
Do the whole voice.
My number 5 is The Rental.
Okay.
The Dave
voice
Franco
is
film,
that?
The Rental.
What voice is that?
It's
Comic
like
book guy from The Simpsons?
It's like it's a mix of like Adam Sandler and the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Zippity-doo-dah. The Rental.
The Rental.
Dave Franco's The
top
Rental.
5. Hell yeah. I'd like to see it. What?
You haven't seen it?
No, I like to see it. I like to see you putting
Oh,
genre stuff
yeah,
this
yeah.
high in the list.
Oh,
I
dude,
dig
I
it.
mean, everything from it, man. The idea that it's a first-time thing from Dave Franco. Knowing
with a little help from Joe Schwanberg, I'm
little
sure.
bit, yeah, but knowing, like, you know, the premise behind like why he wanted to make it, with kind of some stuff he ran into on vacations as well, and the idea that that industry is like, I feel like really underregulated. Like there's not a lot in
Oh yeah.
rental. Like you, it's like one of my favorite songs I found this year. Play at your own risk. Like it's an older song. It's a,
Yeah, no.
Anyway, but it's one of those like
Airbnbs is kind of uncharted territory
Yeah.
for just social interaction in general. I
Right.
personally have never been in one, except for was that a
Yes,
Airbnb
it was an
that we
Airbnb
stayed
last
at,
year.
for my birthday last year?
yeah, the place we
Well,
found.
that was sick.
Yeah. And that's
place down in Florida.
that's the appeal of it. It's like that is. But Noah, did we go through that house and look at the footage on the cameras? Do we even know if there were cameras in it? We don't, because you don't think about that.
Yeah.
And the idea that this movie plays with that, and you talk about endings, dude. That fucking ending, man.
Makes
like,
I mean, it doesn't make
is-
the movie, but
but it makes it all the more
leaves it
unsettling.
on such a great note. Agreed.
Right.
And we won't totally spoil it.
No,
for people,
I'm not
but
gonna spoil it for
I've
anybody.
heard a lot of mixed reactions to this one, and I just don't quite get it. I was like, dude, this is like textbook stuff. It hits all the beats I want something like this to hit. I don't know why.
I mean, it has my boy.
Yeah, I mean, it did really. Dan Stevens.
It has your boy, Toby Huss.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's fucking sure.
One
I
of
guess
them.
Toby
He's
Huss
one
is
of
my
them.
boy.
He's one of them. I
do
don't know.
like him quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think part of it, obviously, like it did have a really solid, what amounts to a solid theatrical run this year,
Because he
where
did
it's
it all
like,
in drive-ins, yeah. And that was
where it's
real,
like,
yeah.
it's something new for people to go see, and people sought it out. But I don't know why it didn't have more of a thing behind it. Except I can say, I feel like if instead this got picked up for like, it's a Prime original, or it's
Yeah.
Shudder pays
Yeah.
top dollar for it, or something like that. I feel like if it has some presence on one of these services beyond being just like, okay, here's a VOD movie that is a rental. You gotta rent the rental, and you check out the trailer, and you're like, well, do I want to spend like? Because from the trailer, it's like, okay, I know the beats of this. It feels pretty conventional, essentially, for like this sort of movie. And so it's literally going to be like, do I want to see these people in it?
Right.
And Alison Brie definitely has more viewers because of something like Glow, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Stevens, I feel like, is becoming more and more of a name person. I know he is for a lot of people, but I'm saying, but then you do have two supporting who maybe aren't as familiar. So maybe it's a tough sell for people because there's a lot of people at home who are like, well, shit, I'm really weighing my decisions when it comes to what I'm going to rent because I don't know where my next check is coming from.
I only got one of those stimulus checks, and they're still fighting over the other one, so what am I going to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Part of me thinks if it had just like popped up on a service, it would have had a little bit more of an impact. But I just feel like nobody really talked about it this year, really.
Well,
at
yeah,
all.
nobody really did. But I mean, of the top lists I've seen, it's not nowhere near anybody's top 10, but it's definitely on the like top 50, which I feel like for a big publication, 50 is a good. It's not bad to be on someone's year-end list at all if they're a decent publication. Can you like send people movies and stuff? Does Amazon let you do that? Because that would be a dope thing to do. It's like, hey man,
Like
I watched,
watch share it.
not watch share, but like I've watched this. I think it's great. I want you to watch it so much. I'm gonna send it to you.
Send you a
for
digital,
my
like-
next day. Like I get 2 days. I watched it. I got this many hours left. Take it and watch it, because at that point you're not extending any time on it.
Right. I mean, that would be cool, but I guess I know that does not exist, but I guess the workaround is you just give your friend your
Okay,
password.
hang on.
And
Bezos.
then you change it the next day.
Bezos. You
Definitely
listen?
listen.
Are you listening?
100%. Dude, him and Chris get together.
Yes.
And they listen to it on like Sonos speakers.
Yeah. This podcast brought to you by Sonos. Bezos, if you're listening, I know you are, but
Notice I
Movie
said
share.
Sonos instead of Amazon Alexa speakers. 'Cause
Right.
It's like in private.
That's a funny joke,
He doesn't use that shit.
right. He's a Bose guy. Come on, dude.
He's a Bozeman.
Bezos the Bose guy. Come on, dude. Bezos the Bozo. He's a Bozeman. Yeah. Bezos Bozeman. Anyway,
Me, I'm a Bozeman.
if you're listening, Jeff, you need to do video share. Okay, I'm telling you, it's the wave
Video
of the
share
future.
does exist for some. There's the functionality to do like watch parties because people were doing it with The Boys and a couple other things. But I think you all have to have Prime. I don't
Right.
think you can't just send a link to somebody. I think you all have to be in the ecosystem, if you will.
Oh, I'm not even thinking link. I'm thinking just like send me an access code and it's available to me for an
Like,
hour.
pitch him on it.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
am right
I'm
now.
sure he would love to hear about it.
Yeah. So my brother, Jeff, my brother is saying that you would love this. So just think about it. And the email is thearchive@gmail.com.
Yeah. And while you're at it, tell Chris to chill the fuck
Oh,
out.
yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calm down, brother.
And, also, I really would love it for Christmas if you would just go ahead and pick up Mindhunter. Just go ahead and take it from the guys at Netflix and just give it another season. Okay, anyway, your top number 5, Noah.
My number 5 is Mangrove from Mr. Steve McQueen. It's available on Amazon Prime. This is the first film in the Small Axe film series.
Oh,
5
yeah,
films
okay.
that Steve McQueen put together for Amazon. The last one has yet to come out. It's entitled Education. I'm going to watch it tomorrow night because they come out technically the Thursday before Friday, but they come out on Friday for most people. This is the only one that cracked my top 10, but all of the ones I've seen thus far, all 4, are in my greater, good to great list. We'll get into those a little later. Mangrove concerns the Mangrove 9, a case I was completely unfamiliar with. It stems from a demonstration that took place in 1968 in England in a neighborhood near the Mangrove restaurant. And the restaurant had been basically hassled for months on end by the predominantly, almost entirely white police force that were basically trying to force these immigrants out of this neighborhood where they had set up a restaurant that was a huge hit that served like West Indian cuisine, did not serve like traditional British food, but was feeding the immigrant population that lived there. But they were determined to brand it as there's drugs being sold here and all this other stuff, some of which may have actually been going on, but that's kind of irrelevant. Basically, things escalate. There's eventually a demonstration where they try and get the attention of the public by staging a march, very similar to some of the things we saw on our televisions and possibly in person for some people throughout 2020 here in the U.S. But basically, on the tail end of this, what is essentially deemed a riot after the fact, 9 people were apprehended in connection with inciting it and trying to incite violence, and they're brought up on charges and have to go to the British High Court, and then it becomes a legal drama for the back half of the movie. And again, it's a case I had zero familiarity with going into it, and is just flat out like each one of the 5 so far, and I don't think this is necessarily intentional, but each one of them kind of fits into a subgenre, and it's kind of almost McQueen being like, you think you kind of have me pegged off of the 4 movies I've done so far, which Widows is kind of a huge departure from Hunger, Shame, 12 Years a Slave. Tonally, visually, like it's him stretching his legs. But Mangrove's essentially a legal drama, and by just those standards, dude, it's one of the best courtroom dramas fucking ever. It has so many moments that will just make you seethe with rage, and then also stuff that just makes you like, oh yeah, man, they got him.
Fucking justice,
stuff
yes.
like that. It's incredible. It's a great watch. This is the longest of the films. It is a full 2 hour and 10-minute endeavor. It is the most properly filmic of the bunch for sure. This is kind of the star or the highlight. Lovers Rock is also up there on a lot of people's list as well. It's a little bit further down on mine, but just great stuff. Highly recommend it. If you have Amazon Prime, it's available to you right now. Again, the movie is Mangrove. It is part of the Small Axe series. That's how you want to look it up.
Who's in it?
Letitia Wright
Okay.
from Black Panther
Yes.
is probably the main person you would know, and then a lot of British actors who I was unfamiliar with. And between this, Gangs of London, and watching the British version of Utopia, what a treasure trove of people I've found that I'm just like, okay, well now I gotta go find everything they've ever done.
Right.
But yeah, Letitia Wright is the name in this one that
Okay.
most people would recognize, of course, from Black Panther. She's Shuri. Yeah, that's my number 5, Mangrove.
Okay. My number 4 is The King of Staten Island.
All right. Good on you.
It is basically, you could boil it down to an autobiographical look at Pete Davidson's life.
This one we did do a full-on review
yeah.
for. You can scroll back in the feed.
Definitely
check
go
it
back and
out.
check it out if you want to hear more about it. I that's just one of those movies. I was so into it that like the last scene where like he goes and watches the fire, I'm like, well, someone's gonna die here. Like this is gonna get bad. Like if you're going formulaic, if you go based off of Hollywood, I guess this is that scene where it's like, oh, he sees what it's like. Originally, he was like, firemen shouldn't have kids and families, whatever, because of his issues and his backstory. And then he sees it all kind of happen, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, hey, I think I get it now. And then just like the stuff with him and Bill Burr and like the butting heads, and then like you can practice on me like with your tattoo stuff, like it's just really funny, but also just kind of like just sweet little slice of life movie, if you want to call it that. Really,
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
really
As with most like late period Apatow,
Yeah.
if you want to call it that. Yeah, I found myself like I don't really remember any jokes that I liked from it, like in the way I could quote 4-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up or something
Right.
like that to you. But the emotional beats that he hits, moving into more of a like James L. Brooks, Cameron Crowe sort of space, which I feel like is where his heart's always been.
Do you? No.
If you look at like Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared and stuff like that, he's always had that. What? Sorry, go ahead.
I just had an epiphany.
Okay.
Do you think this has he been this way, or has he kind of gotten this way? Because I feel like this is like the first big thing I remember him doing post Gary Shandling dying. And I know he did that great documentary about him and The Way of the Zen and all that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering if like that's like that plays into it at all. If he picks these projects because of like, yeah, they can be funny, but like let me show you this more emotional beat that I'm on, because I feel like this story has a lot more to give you other than the funny bits.
That's the thing is part of me feels like he might be more into making out and out dramas, but almost feels compelled to like, well, I got to have some levity in here, or people are just not gonna accept it coming from me. But
I would.
To that point, that's what I'm saying is, again, I don't remember any jokes from this movie. I remember the emotional beats of like just overall being like, Pete Davidson, who I've always been kind of like wishy-washy on, I thought he acquitted himself quite nicely.
Yeah.
But the real highlight for me, we talked about it in the review a lot, was the Bill Burr Marissa Tomei relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I want this movie. I don't like. I appreciate that you're trying to like recontextualize Pete Davidson and like kind of a pseudo, an alternate reality version of him, if you will. I appreciate all of that, but I would also be fine if you just told a story about these two adult characters who you seem honestly even more invested in, because look how much like chemistry you have right here.
Natural.
Yes.
Like God give. And
So
maybe
again,
it's just
that was
her.
and that's not even a knock against the movie, because it's good that it leaves you wanting more from the supporting characters. But I was just like, dude, give me that. Like, give me the, this is 40, but not characters we already had established
Right,
and stuff.
yeah.
Give me just new people. Yeah,
No. Yeah.
I enjoyed this one. It's further down on my list. I think
Yeah, we
top
could get to
10,
the
but
further
it's
downs. Yeah.
I enjoyed
We'll
it.
call those the further downs. I like
further
that.
downs.
I like that.
Okay, my number 4. It's coming off the table. It's The Five Bloods.
Okay.
Available on Netflix for everybody. By the way, King of Staten Island, it was a very expensive rental for
Yes.
a very long time.
Very
I think
worth it,
It is
though.
very cheap now to just the
Right.
regular $3.99 price.
Right.
Maybe even lower. I'm not sure. But yeah, that one's on VOD. The Five Bloods, my number 4, is on Netflix.
For free.
Yes, this was an early one in the year.
Yes.
For a time, it was my number 1. It was up there for a stretch, and it got moved down a bit at a time. Still really strong. Have not quite worked up to a rewatch, given the untimely passing of Mr. Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
But we said it on our review episode, which was paired with King of Staten Island. Funnily
was,
enough.
yeah.
It was a 2x2 new review. Yeah.
Interesting. How that worked out with the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Wow.
Somewhat synergy, I guess.
How richly bizarre.
Well, I mean, they're both in one episode. If you want to go listen to them, I mean, my money's on Leto. It's gonna be good.
Absolutely. Listen to that one too. Okay. To refresh your memory, this is the kind of dual timeline narrative of some Vietnam vets who, in their now 60s,
70s
slash 70s. It's kind of vague. I don't know. Go back to Vietnam.
We don't know because we don't see younger versions
but
of
it's
them.
present day, right?
Right.
Like it's supposed to be a 2019, 2020
Right.
present day.
Right.
We don't have to relitigate all of this. Listen to the episode.
Exactly.
Where, again, Spike Lee makes a very conscious choice to be like, hey, in the flashbacks, you guys all look exactly the fucking same, except for you, Chadwick. And we will figure out why down the road, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, no, you already know that down the road.
Yes, you already... Yes. They are... Excuse me. The whole setup of the movie is they are returning to Vietnam to bury their friend
And find gold.
and find some gold. It's basically Treasure
It's like
of the
that
Sierra
first cow
Madre.
movie, only it's
That's
in
what
Vietnam.
you said you were on a Bogart kick, dude. That's what you need to watch next.
What?
Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But
the
yeah,
big
so
sleeve.
it's a rollicking action adventure movie.
Yeah.
With like my favorite collection of actors in any movie this year.
Yeah.
We talked about it on that episode. If Delroy Lindo does not win Best Supporting Actor, there is no justice, and there will be no peace. Because he's
Fucking killing it in this movie.
he's on another planet. It's the best, like one of the best performances I've seen all year. And if we're talking, obviously it would be in the supporting category. He just, who else even holds a candle to this performance, dude? It's so good. But you also have Isaiah Whitlock Jr. in there killing it. You have Clark Peters. You have Jonathan Majors from
Yes.
Lovecraft Country. Big
Yes.
discovery for Gavin this year.
Indeed.
You still need to go back and watch Last Black Man in San Francisco.
I do need to
which was
watch
on my
that.
list last year. But yeah, again, a rollicking, sprawling journey through the jungle with a lot of twists and turns, a lot of heavy stuff in it. Subject matter sounds heavy. It is, but it also has, it has the Spike Lee levity here and there. There's some lighter elements you can get through. Again, I pitch it as an action adventure movie, which is what it felt like. It just also happens to be about one of the darkest chapters in American history, and from the perspective of people who've never really gotten to give their perspective on it.
That was the thing that I appreciated about it more, and I don't know if I articulated it correctly enough when we talked about it, but the use of historical footage and like
The use of archival footage,
archival
and,
footage
like,
is second to none in that movie. I mean, just the naming of like a black soldier who dove on a grenade. No one is ever heard that person's name ever. Find me people, three people
who knew
before
that
that
before the
movie was
movie.
made.
Yeah.
Who knew that man's
Probably
name.
a lot, but
In the military, and like yes, they would, but like you walk up and say anything about Vietnam right now, people think Nixon, LBJ, and Muhammad Ali not wanting to go, and that's it.
and maybe think about Apocalypse Now or
right.
Platoon.
But that's what America's remembrance of Vietnam is. Cassius Clay didn't want to go. He changed his name, and then Nixon got us out of it. That's it. And you're
There were
right.
some hippies in there at
Some point, and a lot of credence, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
a
somewhere
little
in
thing
there,
called the '68 Democratic National Convention.
right, the
as
Ted
well.
Offensive, and then of course the Adrian Cronauer show, Good Morning Vietnam. We all love that show. People who were there remember it. Classic stuff, But I just, again, like you said, it's people. It's a dark part of American history that had, a light shined on it from a perspective we haven't gotten before.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, dude, every Vietnam movie, there's a black guy in it. It's
A
Larry,
black guy,
yeah, it's
yes.
Larry Fishburne. It's I don't know who I'm thinking of from Platoon. I haven't actually watched Platoon all the way through. I'm sure, is it Dennis Haysbert in Platoon? Maybe, I don't know, somebody in Platoon. But it's one. It's it. And to know that like this was legit. There were all black units. There were integrated units. It was all that. To kind of get that story, along with, like you said, this action adventure through the jungle kind of crazy thing going on.
And we haven't necessarily been charting them thus far, but for some reason I want to point this one out. In contention for like sequences of the year, without spoiling anything, the landmine
Oh my God,
sequence
dude.
in this movie is some of the best tension-filled filmmaking I've seen all year, and just one of my favorite Spike Lee sequences in his entire filmography. Great stuff. It's on Netflix. I'm hoping to see a resurgence of conversation as we head into the extremely long, extended Oscar prologue, because the Oscars are in April, I believe.
Right.
It feels like forever away at this point. But again, Delroy Lindo has to at least be nominated for supporting actor. I'm saying we go ahead and throw Spike in there for Best Director once again. And if we're doing a 10 list, if this isn't up for Best Picture, it's as good, if not better, than Black Klansman. And thankfully, Black Klansman got a lot of at least recognition, even though they only got the one singular Oscar. So he's got screenplay now, but he still does not have director. So
yeah,
I would love to see that.
I agree.
And a very worthy movie to get it for, in my opinion. Okay. Your number 3? Top three,
Noah. For my number 3, I wanna be like Mike. Bad Boys 3. It's my number 3 movie of the year.
Yeah. It was hard not to just like shift down to Five Bloods to the 5 slot, but I was like, no, because I like it. It's Mangrove and it are like neck and neck, but it's like the Five Bloods is fun, and I would watch it again. Mangrove, incredible stuff. Definitely not watching that movie for at least a year.
Yeah.
You know. Talk about Bad Boys 3, though.
I mean...
Bad Boys for life.
For life.
There is no 3
life.
in the title.
You're right. We talked about it when we saw it. It's the second movie I saw in theater. I've seen 3 movies in theaters. One of them I'll get to later.
There should have been Bad Boys Trace, correct? And then Bad Boys for Life for the 4th one, which we know is coming.
Right. And if Tom Cruise has anything to say about it, those protocols are going to make sure that movie happens too.
They better make sure he goes to every single set, dude. And he is the guy. He's like, you go by my law.
Yeah.
Cruise law.
Yes, Cruise law. Of course.
Cruise.
This, again, a trend that I don't know if it's people just being like, fuck the Directors Guild. But a lot of 2 people doing movies this year and in recent years. You know, and it's crazy because it's like that keeps you out of the DGA if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they changed the rules.
What the deal is on that now? I don't know.
Maybe there's a new president involved with the guild, and you know they don't care about that kind of stuff because they realize, hey, and I think it's just because they don't want like a bunch of people on stage at the Oscars. That's why like they cut the people. Seriously,
Yes,
that's why they cut the producers. They put a cap on how many producers you can have as credited. You know, that can't be listed below because they don't want 1,000 people on stage if your movie wins.
But they do want Brad Pitt, who produces a lot of movies, by the way.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean...
We'll take the prettiest ones you got.
Yes.
We'll take the prettiest producers.
Yes, prettiest ones you got. And, I mean, really...
The only ones that are camera ready, right. Seriously.
When they get out of bed.
The rest of them, they got to sit up in the balcony. We're not even going to show them on television.
Nope.
Yeah.
Look at the rafters with the bats that are just hanging out there. Anyway, Bad Boys for Life. A longer gap from 2 to 3 than there was from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, dude.
Quite substantial. And one of those that honestly, like, it had been so long at this point, we were like, this has got to be trash, right? Like,
right.
There's no way they crank one out this far down the line without Michael Bay directly, actually
directing.
This is?
You know what this is? This is Rush Hour 3. You don't remember Rush Hour 3, do you?
I hope this is better than
No, that's what I'm saying. Going into it, everybody loved Rush Hour.
Right.
Rush Hour 2 was on fire. And then there's such a long gap.
Yeah, there is the long gap.
And then 3 comes out and you're like, oh, yeah, they kind of fucked this up. Like, it's not as good as...
To the point, I've never seen 3.
Yeah. It's cute. It's trying to...
It's a third Rush Hour.
Noah, it's trying to wedge your hand back in that old baseball glove you used to love to play with.
Yeah.
And it looks weird on your hand again, but it still works. It's just kind of hard to catch all the stuff that you're getting thrown. That's all. That's a baseball analogy for movies. But dude, this movie, like,
delivered.
Fucking delivered.
And here's the thing. Action-wise, it was never, ever gonna top 2.
No.
2 is an action masterpiece. It's one of the 10 best action movies ever made. Period.
Specifically the last chunk of that movie. Because there's tons of other stuff, but like... Yes. Well, but I always tell people, when they are like, we're going at it alone, we're doing our own thing, and you bring back in the tactical unit from the opening, and they just lay waste to that mansion in Cuba, the fact that like it feels like that is the overall height of like Marcus and Mike, and like that's where you start off the third one in terms of like like it's just it deals with everything that I don't think you get to see a lot in buddy cop stuff, because there is a third one. It is really good. Like I watched Lethal Weapon the other day just because it was like it's under Christmas stuff on Max, which I appreciate. But by the time you get to the third one, I kind of feel like you run out of everything.
Third one they introduce Pesci?
The third one,
or he's in the second one?
Yes.
He's in the second one, continues into the third?
Right.
Okay.
He's the annoying guy in the second one that they have to keep watch over. 3, they introduce Renee Russo in the third one. She's from Internal Affairs.
And then 4, we have everybody.
They're old men. And then they introduce Chris Rock.
Yes.
Yes. Butters. So, but it's that, we've had the I'm going to retire, I'm going to be done, like you're going to get a different partner. We've had that. But we have something that I feel like doesn't really happen a lot in like big name movies, is like you have your star, like he gets shot and like bled out on the screen, man. You're wondering what's going to happen to old Mike Lowry.
Yeah.
And then you find the I appreciated the twist, as crazy as it is, and like, oh, who is this person that's coming to hunt down Miami PD? Oh, I appreciated all that shit, dude. I loved it all.
The serious secret weapon, though, of the whole movie is Martin Lawrence.
Yes.
Who you forget that it's just like, this guy's fucking great.
Yes.
He's still got the chops.
Hell yeah.
And he's also got the heart in this one. And I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I've only seen it in theaters with you. Have not watched it at home yet, but
Me neither.
it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. I can't wait to watch it again. Huge ringing endorsement from both of us. I believe it's still a VOD rental.
Yes. I think it is out on Blu-ray now, though. I'm pretty sure it was out for a while.
This will definitely be a purchase, and if it's not already, I want a 3-pack. Give me a 3-pack 4K Blu-ray.
Right. And I need that.
And leave a space for 4 and 5.
Right,
or
yeah.
6 and 7 or 8, because spoiler alert,
This is
even
Fast
if
and
you haven't
Furious,
seen
baby.
It's the Fast and the Furious now.
Yeah.
And I just hope we can get them a little more quickly.
Right.
Than the gap between 2 and 3.
Right.
But yeah, again, we were fully prepared going into that theater for like, I don't know, man.
To the
And it
point,
just
I was like, okay if
consistently-
it was bad. I was like, I'm going to give it a big pass because it's Bad
But
Boys.
it just consistently kept winning us over.
And you know what it does,
made
dude?
all the
It's
right
that-
decisions.
It's
dude.
that scene where they have fucking Michael Bay as the MC at the wedding.
Yes.
And he's like passing the torch to
Oh,
these
that's
two
when
dudes.
you and I looked at each other and was like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah, we're good.
We're in good hands.
Doesn't matter what happens from here.
Yeah.
We're good.
And
You know?
also, again, like, Will Smith, last couple years, it's been interesting.
Have
man.
you watched Gemini Man?
I didn't see it.
I enjoyed it.
I'm
really
I'm
good,
not
dude.
knocking it. I didn't see it in theaters.
You know what it is?
Didn't
It's
catch
Mary.
up with
It's
it.
Winstead. It's her.
Yeah.
She's the hook in it. That.
Okay.
But again, Ang Lee and like the crazy visuals, dude. I could appreciate. I actually really kind of wish I'd seen that in theaters.
You still wouldn't have seen it the way you wanted you to see it.
No, of course not.
Because there was like 6 theaters in the world that could project it correctly.
Really?
Yeah, it was some weird shit like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You were seeing like a tailored version of it essentially anywhere you saw it in theaters, but like people actually showing it in the appropriate frame rate, and all of that stuff. Like, I think there's only a handful of theaters that are even capable of doing the high frame rate in IMAX or whatever.
Well, it still looked really good on Amazon with what it
I'm sure
was trying
it
to
does,
be.
because Ang Lee makes good-looking movies.
Yeah.
in general.
I mean, if I could have seen that on screen, it would have been worth it. If you're telling me I couldn't have gotten it, then I understand.
Anyways, to your point, I didn't see Gemini Man.
Yeah.
It did not do well. I'm talking, regardless of what you think of the quality of any of these, he's been on a bit of a downward turn in general as far as being the king of the box office like he was for like a decade of our lives.
Why? Because he hasn't gone back to the well. I understand
And
that.
then, that's what I was going to say. And then what happens the second he goes back to one of his most beloved franchises?
A pandemic.
Well,
And forcing him to become the number 1 movie of the year.
We didn't know that was happening.
Right.
Quite yet. And on its own legs, as a February, again, we're normally...
No, January release,
excuse me,
right?
January or February, yeah. I think it was the second week in January.
Yeah, it was before my birthday.
Yes.
It has to have a box office record for January. It has
a straight
to be.
up dumping ground.
Yes.
It's like, everybody's going to see the Oscar bait movies from the previous year. Nobody wants to see new stuff right now, so let's just flood the, put all the trash out there.
Like that Vin Diesel movie moment I saw.
And again, when they pushed it to January, we were like, "Oh, dude, this is not a
they
good
are dumping
sign.
this thing
like,
off, man.
It's
They do
gonna
not
be
give a shit.
garbage." And then what happened? We saw it. The people in the theater we saw it with, who clearly it was opening night, like the first screening available, were clearly all like diehard fans. Everybody loved it, and then lo and behold, it was a huge hit that opening weekend. And like you said, it's still the number one domestic box office for 2020, as well it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you, even with the slate that has come out, if proper, if things had been normal for theaters, I think it would have hung around in the top 10.
Oh,
even
definitely.
with the big Disney and Marvel releases that, would have been cannibalizing it. Okay. Bad Boys for Life. Go watch it if you haven't already.
Yeah.
I need to do it again soon.
All right. What's your number 3?
It probably needs to be put on the table. It's an Amazon original.
No, it doesn't. We can go ahead and talk about it. It's my number 2.
The Vast of Night.
Yes. That's why I was wondering earlier, because technically this was in film festivals and stuff in 2019. It did not come out in a proper release anywhere until 2020.
It's a 2020 movie.
Right. But it just, you said the other one you might not want to put on your list because it was technically around in 19. We
Portrait
didn't
of a
get it
Lady
till
on
20.
Fire was straight up in New York and LA for Oscar consideration the
Okay.
previous year. It is a
Gotcha.
2019 film.
Okay.
I just happened to see it 2020. Is
That's-
all I was saying.
that's why I
and
put-
most of America didn't get it until 2020.
Yeah.
But New York and LA still counts.
But again, that's why like the third one of mine is 1917. That is a 2019 December release everywhere. I saw it in 2020. That's the third movie I saw this year in theaters. The second being Bad Boys, and the final one being
Okay, we
Synchronic.
just said a lot of names, but to be clear, what we were talking about right now is
Your-
The Vast of Night,
which
which
is
is
your
my
num-
number 3 and Gavin's number
Number
2.
Amazing debut. Again,
One of these
one of
most
the
singular
best
best
movies.
debut movies I've ever seen.
This is. I've already had my movie that I look at and I'm like, I would love to fucking do that. And it came out a long time ago. And if you listen to this show, you know exactly what movie it is. And we're not even going to say the name. But I just hope that somebody watched this thing and thought, that's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I want to do that because that is, I mean, do you know that the call sign for the radio station is WOW? Mm-hmm. The worlds?
Yeah.
It's all this homage stuff, and it's like
it's all
classic
It's
Americana.
all homage that in the same way that we often praise, and I never thought of this parallel, but the same way we praise Tarantino for, it's like, yes, all of this stuff is essentially ripped from other things.
Right.
But it's the way you put it together. And this is one of those where it's like, yes, it hints at the Twilight Zone. It hints at B-movie sci-fi from the era. But it's also 100% its own tone and thing.
Right.
That's down to the dialogue, the performances, and the camera choices, the cinematography,
God,
which...
dude.
$1 million. They shot
Yes,
this shit for $1
$1
million.
million,
And
dude.
I was more wrapped up in this than I was of any of the fucking $100 million movies I saw this year
Yes.
at home or in theaters. It was enthralling. And I saw it on Amazon Prime. And it really does tell the tale of this whole fucking year. Like it or not, streaming is the future. It really
And money
dude.
is not going to matter. Rodriguez has said this since the beginning. You cannot solve creative issues with money. No matter how much you like to think you can, how much you can spend on a computer to do something, it comes down to what's in front of the camera and how good the people are behind the camera to make you believe what story you're listening and watching.
To that point, right there, when something premieres on Amazon or it premieres on Netflix, guess what the playing field is for that? Everything else that has been released by Netflix or released by Amazon. There is no, oh, this one's been getting advertised a ton. Oh, I've seen TV ads, magazine ads, etc. for Blockbuster X, Y, or Z. Everything's on an equal playing field. So truly, at that point, yes, money does not matter. It's going to have the same amount of exposure, the same opportunity for eyeballs, essentially. And then what wins out at the end of the day? Quality.
Right.
Period. It doesn't matter how much it costs, regardless. If you make something that is good, people are going to watch it and people are going to talk about it, and it will be a word of mouth hit. And I feel like more than any other movie this year, other than maybe my number one, Vast of Night was the movie that I was just like, I'm telling everybody I know to go see it. Not even like, oh, sci-fi fans need to see this, or like alien people or whatever.
Rockabilly
Just-
folks will love it. Like, oh, you
just
know, it's
literally, if you like movies,
Yeah.
you will like this movie.
Exactly.
It's like Parasite from
Right.
last year. It is just impossible not to recommend it to people
it's just
who
a
enjoy
good movie
movies
overall.
period.
That's it.
And you know what? Every single person I recommended to it that actually took the time to watch it was over the moon. Literally texted me after they finished it and were like, that was so good. That was one of the best things I've seen in recent memory. And
What's his other one? And you're like, oh, this is his first.
Yeah, by the way, this is this dude's first movie. We will have our eyes peeled. Again, I believe his name is Andrew Patterson. I have to confirm that. We do not
sounds
want
right.
to ruin this man's name.
Yeah, for the 20 of you that are listening that are going to go watch it, we don't want to ruin his name. We appreciate you sticking with us right here.
It is, in fact,
Good job,
Andrew
Noel.
Patterson.
Good pull.
Doesn't have anything slated as an upcoming yet. I don't even care, dude. You could rest on the laurels of this for quite a while if you want to, but I cannot wait to see what you do. And the one thing I hope, we talked about this when we did a little mini review of it, which I don't know if that episode ever came out.
I don't know what we
Because
paired it with.
we had to tank one because it was the cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover.
Right.
We lost that section of the pod. I believe that same episode we did an in-depth review of Vast of Night.
Right.
And when subsequently we only had like a little mini review of it.
Right.
Okay. I forget where I was going with this whole thread.
You'd be keeping your eyes peeled for him. That's what you were saying. I mean, it's one of those, look, dude, look to the skies, Noah. They're out there. They've always been there, and we can't wait. I mean, I won't care what he does next. He could give me
Excuse me. Thank you. You got me right back on
Okay.
track. We talked about it in that episode. He is now, the trend for the last several years is like, oh, well, now they're just going to like have him make Star Wars or something like
Right.
that. You know, they're going to give him some big IP property. He proved himself with the opening, you know, Gareth Edwards, who we talked about recently, but makes Monsters, little small scale indie movie with Scoot McNairy.
Oh, not
And then they
Evans.
hand him Godzilla. Because it's like, oh, well, now obviously, take our $100 million franchise and we need you to make a blockbuster. And, you know, sometimes it works. Sometimes the thing ends up just kind of feeling faceless because people point out it's very easy to take a hot young director who feels like, oh, shit, I'm getting this crazy shot. But who the studio looks at is like, well, he's essentially a first-time studio filmmaker, so we can control him.
Here's this
we
grinder.
Can make him do.
Here's the grinder.
Yeah.
We're going to shove you through it. You'll sink or swim, my friend, because guess what? There's 10 kids around the corner that would do it for nothing. Okay?
Right.
Remember that,
exactly.
kid. That's
So
exactly how it
I
works.
want-
because movies are a
I-
business, and we get it.
I hope and I want Andrew Patterson to stay on the, like, let's maybe notch him up to, like, some Blumhouse level budgets, maybe a little over $1 million. Or maybe as high as an A24. That's all, like, A24 or Neon. We get maybe into the more like 10 or 15 million.
I got. We're giving the
I don't
A24
wa- I
Neon
don't
budget.
Want, I don't want him to all of a sudden be one of these guys who just gets like shoved into the studio system and like has to make some big IP because that's what logically makes sense. I hope he is able to continue to operate with the spirit that Vast of Night has, if that makes sense.
That's what I was going to say. Give me the same premise, the same idea on the other side of town with two different people. I'd watch that movie as your sequel right now.
100%.
The two people that picked them up in the car. Give me their story their entire night. And you bump into Everett and Faye, and they're there for 2 seconds, and then they get out the car and they're gone, and you and your lover go run off, and all of a sudden it becomes the hook in the door urban legend story. Give me that, dude. I don't care what you do. Pull any kind of genre, any kind of thing you want, but just give me. There's a thing that you can see on screen with that, and it is just the fucking heart of that guy.
Yeah.
In every shot, it does. You get the feeling that it
You
looks
get
so
the feeling that he's been making this movie in his head
since he was 12, since he
yes.
saw Close Encounters, or since he saw Fire in the Sky, or name. I'm just throwing them out there, dude. They're just titles. Since he watched his first X-Files episodes, you know?
Yeah.
I like Fire in the Sky, dude. I like Robert Patrick. I like D.B. Sweeney. I like...
It was pointed out on a recent Year in podcast I was listening to. I believe it was Adam Naiman, I believe, the critic. But he was basically saying, this is, the trend is anytime anybody makes something in the neighborhood of this, they go, oh, he's next Spielberg. And he was like, this is the first time where that is legit, like, that's not a ridiculous thing to say.
Right.
Where you just
Yes.
see this much, like, natural talent and, like, singularity of vision, and, like, this guy was just born to make a movie.
Right.
It's like, yeah, the Spielberg comparison's not off, and it probably wouldn't hurt his career in the way that some people get pegged as the next one and then, like, fall into obscurity.
Right.
I cannot wait to see the next Andrew Patterson movie. But for now, we all have The Vast of Night to revisit over and over again.
And I was going to say,
Amazon Prime.
we give him the A24 Blumhouse budget. We get him to get all the actors from Coat Wolf who aren't making Chuck Hank and the San Diego Twins, and he does a movie with them. It writes itself.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, that was my number 2, so give me your number 2.
My number 2, which I assume is not your number 1. I'm very curious what your number 1 is. Don't know why I haven't been able to figure it out yet. My number 2 is Mank.
Mike?
It's Mank.
Oh, my God. All right.
Which Gavin and I haven't had
Number 15.
All right. Cracked the top 15.
Yeah.
It's David Fincher's Mank. We've talked about it offhandedly for the last month or so.
Yes,
Herman J.
fucking people,
Mankiewicz.
fucking people talk like that.
Yes, they do. At least they did in movies of that era,
why
which
am
is
I
what the movies
supposed
tried
to
to
care
replicate.
about it?
Why are you supposed to care about it?
Is it because he was like this brilliant person and like Orson Welles just like put his dick on the table and was like, yeah, but I'm writing. You know what this is? Is this like supposed to be like how people think, Matt Damon wrote Good Will Hunting, but Ben Affleck put his name on it kind of thing? But back then for Citizen Kane? Is that what we're talking about here? I don't get what I'm supposed to get from this movie, man. It fucking looks great, and I love Gary Oldman being Gary Oldman doing shit, but like, I don't get it. I don't know what I'm supposed to like about it, and like, why it's so great.
I don't know what I'm supposed to like about it. If it didn't hit you, dude, it didn't hit you.
It just
It's
didn't,
fine.
man. And I think you might be surprised by my number 1 because it hit me in a weird way.
Okay.
And I've gone back to it a couple times since I watched it. It's fucking wild, dude. Mank.
All right. Can't wait to hear what it is. Why I like Mank.
You love old Hollywood.
I mean, and I don't even. That's
You
the
don't.
thing. It's not like, oh, I love this era and I'm obsessed with this era, so, the recreation of it, which a lot of people have problems with because apparently it's the wrong aspect ratio and he shot it digitally, God forbid, and like all this different stuff. What it really came, I mean, if we want to really boil down like what I like about this movie, the fucking screenplay and the actors who are executing it.
Yeah.
It has some of the best dialogue of the year, period. It's fantastic.
But did people fucking talk like that back in the day?
Why are you so hung up on that?
Because it just
Okay,
it
there
doesn't
is-
feel legit.
There is stylized dialogue in movies, period. In
Right.
general, okay? In this particular case, you're saying, did people actually talk like that? In the movies of that era? Fuck yes, they did.
But in real life, are you telling me they
it
did?
doesn't matter.
It does to me, though.
It may to you. He's not making a docudrama.
Right.
He's not. It's not. He's not going for realism and period accuracy with everything, and that being the overarching goal of it. The screenplay, to me, the vibe of it is the vibe of those movies of that era, and it is so much a reconstruction and reinterpretation of Citizen Kane itself and the narrative structure of that, while also being about it but not about it at all, because a huge chunk of this is about something that I felt like was very important to the modern conversation, which is the whole election subplot in here and the the idea of how vehemently like socialism is opposed by people in power who stand to make a buck off of it, and the exploration of the studio system at the time, how it cripples like art and creativity. Except you're looking at me so blankly.
I'm getting it.
and,
No,
like,
I'm getting it. Dude, the number one thing I took away from this movie is that Rosebud was what's her face's vagina. Like that's the main
which
thing.
we already knew.
Yeah,
That's been
I
a
didn't
thing.
know that. That was new to me. Okay,
Okay.
like I
Did
heard
you
it.
think Amanda Seyfried was good in this movie? Do you think
Yes.
she deserves Best Supporting Actress, which she's probably going to win? Like
And she was Marion Davies, right?
Marion Davies, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I definitely think Gary Oldman's got it sealed up if he wants it. Like,
It's not going to happen.
if he wants
They
it,
gave it to him 2 years ago. That's not going to happen.
it's all no. If we know anything, it's all about. If this movie Mank taught us anything, it's all about who you know. It's all about who you put behind the press the flesh behind the scenes. If they want to put the ads out there for him, and petition for him, and campaign for him, Gary Oldman could very well easily do it. Fucking Hollywood loves itself. It loves movies about itself. Let's be serious.
But again, that's what I'm trying to get at here.
Are you saying David Fincher saying Hollywood, you're full of shit?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
The whole Louis B. Mayer like speech about, the genius of this business is when people walk out after viewing our product, we still own it, and all they have is a memory of it. Now, granted, this is pre-home video,
Right.
and all of that, but the idea of like, but we own the masters essentially. We
Right.
just let you take a look at it, and you kind of have to, if you want more of this, you got to come back to us and pay us again. Like, there's no, you don't have instant access to this forever. You don't own it. You have no ownership over it. Well, if that's the case, do the people who make the art have any actual ownership of it? What is the nature of authorship on top of that? We have the whole movie centered around him writing the screenplay, but you know that at the end of the day, Orson Welles comes in and makes his own additions, directs and stars, and makes the movie that he's going to make off of this source material at this point. It's what he makes of it. And I don't think it's trying to get into that debate at all. I don't think it's meant to demonize Wells. I think it's the real focus is the relationship between Mank, Marion Davies, and William Randolph Hearst. That's like the core of the movie, and the disillusionment of like, I feel like I'm fighting against this system. Like that I am this individual who stands out amongst this and does try and at least like get these thoughts into the minds of the people around me who are in power, etc., and trying to like speak truth to them, if you will. And
Yeah,
then
because
being
they like the way
confronted
you
with
talk.
the idea of like, the only reason you're here is because he likes the way you talk. By the way, he pays your salary. If you piss him off enough, you're fucked. Like, don't make no mistake. This guy owns you, essentially. Yeah. And then deciding at the end of all of that for like, all right, well, I'm going to basically write a screenplay that takes this guy down.
I did enjoy the, I have to say if it doesn't get made, I'll be really sorry. And it's like, well, I have to say if it does get made, that I'll be sorry too. Like I appreciated that. I was like,
Dude, I mean the early dinner scene, not the big
No,
finale scene.
the early
but
dinner
the early
scene,
dinner
yeah.
scene. I'm sorry, but for me, and it's not like this for everybody, but like that shit is like porn to me in terms of like dialogue porn. The back and forth, the like debate about the politics of the day, the Upton Sinclair of it all. I know it does essentially kind of like, you kind of feel like you need Wikipedia open or Google open while you're watching it if you're not familiar with some of these things. And I'm not saying that like having a greater familiarity with them like makes the movie play better, because I still feel like you can appreciate it on like, you can piece together what these figures, these political figures mean to the individuals who we're seeing in the movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I again, if it felt like it was just kind of, it's another movie about movies, it's kind of up its own ass, like I totally get that perspective too. I just don't think that that's what he was going for at all. I think it's a very anti-Hollywood movie, and you got to keep in mind, everybody's referenced this in every single review of Mank, but this is the guy who made Alien 3. This is the guy who came to the studio system, fresh-faced kid, and had his project, his big breakout thing, completely taken away from him. and restructured, and horrible experience with a big studio, a big known studio in Fox, and has pretty much spent the rest of his career making exactly what the fuck he wants to make on his own terms with crazy budgets and people who he gets to agree to finance them, but he has final cut. David Fincher does not compromise, so rest assured he made 100% the movie he wanted to make in Mank, and how you take it, I guess it's definitely up to you. But I feel like it's getting a little short-sighted to say like, oh yeah, it's about Citizen Kane, like the debate over who made it. I didn't even get into like again how it parallels the structure of Citizen Kane, how it inverts your understanding of some of the movie itself, like all of that stuff. And again, you don't see any of the movie being made in this movie. It is all about the writing process and the events that led up to the writing of the screenplay. Mm-hmm. Before Orson Welles even touches it, he's in the movie for like 5 minutes.
Who do they have playing him?
It's Tom Burke, man.
And
oh boy, and that's one of my boys.
And The Hand of the King was Hearst, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know where you know Tom Burke from, though? Only God Forgives.
The brother. He's the brother.
In season 2, episode 1 of Utopia.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The UK version.
Okay.
Yeah. He's also in The Souvenir from last year. My number 2 movie of last year.
I don't think I saw
Tom
that.
Burke at the 2 slot again.
Tommy Two-Tone. There you go.
Tommy Two-Tone Burke. Yep. He has a series called CB Strike on Cinemax.
Yeah. It's a fucking.
I want to watch that,
dude. It's good, dude. I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes. I didn't realize that was him. Again, he's not
good,
in Only God Forgives that long. So
like 2 seconds. If you want the Tom Burke show, you watch not the show, but if you want the my favorite performance of his, you watch The Souvenir, which is also available on Amazon Prime, by the way.
Okay. All right, so number 2 is Mank, and
Mank is on Netflix, by the way.
And I guess I will move Mank from 14 to 12.
You don't have to move it anywhere, and I'm not trying to.
You sold me on it. I didn't.
I feel like you're getting a little hung up on the superficiality of like this dialogue's too highfalutin. I love the dialogue, to be clear.
Right, and I get more now that I get that it was going for the tone of a movie in that time. It understands.
There is the deeper layer. This is written by Jack Fincher, his father,
right,
who was a journalist, if I'm not mistaken. He wrote it after he, like, in his retirement, in his spare time, he decided to write a screenplay about Citizen Kane, etc. And this is what came out of it. But he's been trying to make this movie since the 90s. So right after the Alien 3, and I feel like if you look at it in the context of that, and it being more about like an outsider perspective trying to operate in a big, massive machinery, and basically,
and that was even after the studio
system
system was dead too. So yeah,
right, dude. The whole scene where Louis B. Mayer goes in and is like, "Hey, I need all you fucking below the line guys to cut your paychecks in half. We got to make a sacrifice," and it's complete bullshit. It's also
but did they say like that was the best performance of the year or something like that? Yeah, I get. Listen, I paid attention. I knew what was going on. I didn't come into it thinking, oh, he's trying to like distort and like maybe take away my perception of what I thought old movies were by like giving me a new modern day movie about the making of a classic in the vein of a classic. It was good and I appreciated it, but I
got all the other layers, dude. It's about a screenwriter who's about to hand a screenplay over to an auteur director, and Fincher has never written a screenplay for any of his movies, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very much about that, like, screenwriter versus director. How does that all work together? Who truly is responsible? What makes a movie, Gavin? What makes a movie? Is it the words on the page, or is it how you fucking put them up there?
Well, I think it's who you decide to talk the words.
That too.
Yeah.
Which is usually a director's decision. So again, who is really the author at the end of the day? There's a lot of questions. If you want to think through those, but again, surface level pleasures, dialogue for me. That's why I will watch this movie 10 more times on Netflix, is because I just really like the dialogue.
Okay. And
again, I think Oldman's fantastic. I think Amanda Seyfried, it's the best performance of her career. I think Charles Dance is incredible in this as well as Hearst. And Arliss Howard as Louis B. Mayer dark horse candidate for best supporting actor for me. Just that one walk and talk like
Oh, yeah.
monologue into him pitching all the actors, all of that stuff. Just great. Yeah. I have pretty much any of my friends that have asked me like, hey, should I check this out? Or I've like outright recommended it to them. I have said, I think if you're only vaguely familiar with Citizen Kane or you even haven't seen it in a while, it's worth a refresher before you go into this to just have a little bit more context of what he's doing in terms of the mirroring. Anyways, I literally watched it the week before. I feel like that contributed to my level of enjoyment, and also the fact that I saw this movie in a theater.
Oh, theater?
A theater.
Yeah.
Not on Netflix. I haven't watched it on Netflix yet.
Oh.
Even though it's been available since December 4th. Go check it out, people. Still hasn't cracked the top 10, I don't think, which is great. I love it that it hasn't cracked the top 10. For movies, it has, but overall, there's still like Ink Masters.
Oh, yeah.
And shit like that above it. It's very
dude.
funny
It's
to me.
Dave Navarro, dude. Ink Master. Come on.
Just saying, dude.
Did you see that second Santa
You
Claus
love
movie?
Mindhunter so much, dude. Like, I
love John Douglas
Okay.
a lot.
I was just gonna say, you talk a little bit nicer about your boy. He gave us a lot. He gave us Fight Club, man. He gave us Zodiac.
Yeah, he gave
He
us
gave
a
us
lot.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Just calm down.
No, I didn't understand it, man. I get it. Passion projects.
Maybe you need to
Who
give it
knew?
a second shot. And yes,
Passion projects.
truly, yep. They
Who
don't
knew?
always.
They're
work
not for
people.
everybody.
They truly are not.
Yeah. Speaking of top 10, did you see the second Christmas movie with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus?
And Goldie is Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
I haven't
It's a
watched
sequel to the first one, dude. You gotta watch the first one. You're not gonna know what's
it.
going on.
So the second one is a sequel,
Dude,
to the first one.
Dude, the kids
You
and
don't say, brother.
dude, the kids and their mom are on vacation, and little girl is not happy about having to be spending Christmas on an island, and her mom is getting down with Tyrese Gibson. He just shows up out of nowhere, and he's got a kid.
Why is Tyrese in this movie?
I don't know, dude, but it doesn't matter. Fucking Kurt Russell is Santa Claus.
Kurt Russell saw how hurt he was about because they're Fast brothers, right?
They are.
They are.
They are now.
He saw how hurt he was by Hobbs and Shaw going off, and he's like, "You know what, buddy? You can come be in my Christmas movie."
Yes, you get yourself over
Unlike
here.
you,
Come over to
Tyrese.
this lot right now. We'll
like
have
you
some
so
fun,
much.
son. Speaking of that, all right. Do you want my number one?
I guess.
I don't think you've watched it. My number one is Sound of Metal.
I'm very, very pleased that this is your number one.
Yeah.
Great movie.
This fucking movie, man. You talk about just like, besides the sound editing of it all to make you
Did you watch it
understand.
with headphones?
No.
Highly recommend it for all of our listeners.
Yeah. I would recommend as well, knowing the sound
Best sound design of the year.
Yes.
Tenet. Go fuck yourself.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Sound of Metal has seriously, I'm not kidding. If it's not up for like
No,
editing and mixing,
should
whatever
be.
the new audio category is this year at the Oscars, I would be very upset.
And for my money,
Incredible sound design.
Riz Ahmed as best actor. I'm sorry. I've not seen somebody on screen
He'd be in my short list for sure. I don't know if he's my number one favorite
that I'd
performance.
probably
gotta-
my favorite of the year.
I might need to think about that and re-look through my list. I don't know who my favorite actor of the year is. I have my favorite actress for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's just about a drummer, punk rock drummer, rapidly starts losing his hearing.
A metal drummer.
Metal drummer, yeah. Just rapidly starts losing his hearing, and he attacks the solution much like he did trying to attack the solution to his addiction. And he's recovering from his addiction, and it's just about how, I don't know, I don't want to call it a slice of life, but just like there's so many moments that are just like gripping in that you feel like, and it's his performance to me that's just like, it's all the raw emotion is out there. Like, you get the idea that like when he's saying goodbye to his girlfriend because he's going to go try and get help at this place, that there is a piece of him that thinks like, I may never ever see this girl again in my life. And so when you get to the ending and what happens in the end, you're just like, oh, and you really start to understand what the actual message is and like what it means to like experience this thing for him. It's just on a completely different level for me, man. And I didn't think I was gonna I saw the trailer pop up on Amazon, and I was like, okay, I might check this out. And within like the first 5 minutes, I was like, I just put the phone down, just crank this up a minute, let me push the door closed so the dogs can't bother me. All right, what's up? And I was fucking in it. And I think, I don't know anything about the director. I haven't looked up anything about the release, nothing like that. Just
I'm going to explain to you why you love it. Right
why?
now.
Why do I love it?
So this is the second feature from Darius Martyr. Okay. He's the co-writer of a little Archivy favorite called The Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh, go fuck it. Okay, yeah.
And Sound of Metal is co-written by Derek Cianfrance, director of Place Beyond the Pines, who also did I Know This Much Is True earlier this year. This was originally going to be a Cianfrance joint. So much so that I believe this exact same plot description was attached to a different titled movie co-written by Darius Martyr, who goes on to direct this. And this was in his like in production or in pre-pro list on IMDb for like a year or two. And it was like, dude, Metal Drummer Loses His Hearing, directed by Cianfrance. Like, I am so there. I'm on board. And then so much so that like the name of the movie shifted and the director shifted, and I did not realize until literally the day I was going to watch it, because I watched it the day it premiered. I knew it was coming. I was pumped for it. And I was like, oh shit, so it is a Cianfrance project, and I didn't realize that this guy also co-wrote Place Beyond the Pines with him, and I immediately was like, oh, this is the movie I'm about to get. And it is so that same like very locked in camera. And you add now the auditory level of what's going on, putting you inside his perspective. One of those also where like, I don't know if you mentioned that he goes to a rehab facility. We don't have to go into all the details of the plot, but like the people working there, I assume those were all non-actors. Like the guy who ran it seemed like this is just a dude who they found, which I know Cianfrance likes to do. He likes to work with non-actors and just...
I don't know. I mean, he's named. I don't know if that means he just runs that center wherever he's at, or if he's actually been in a movie before. But it doesn't matter.
But yeah, great small performance. And you want to talk about tiny moments? There's a moment where he goes to work with kids for the first time. And he's a little, iffy about it or whatever. But there's this one kid, and the kids all suffer from deafness as well. And yeah, there's one kid, and they're on a slide, and he starts, playing a beat to him, and they go back and forth, like trying to repeat it. And that's one of those like instant, just like, oh god,
yeah,
this is so good. So many great feels, man, and I really do love where it leaves things. Ultimately, I don't want to talk about it. It's a fairly new movie. It came out like a week ago for most people. So I don't really want to talk about the ending, but I thought, perfect. I like a particular type of ending with movies like this, and it did not disappoint in that aspect. Great performance. I agree. I'm struggling right now to think. I was like, did I have a best actor list that, includes anybody above him? I don't know if it does. I got keyed into Riz Ahmed during Nightcrawler, I believe, was the first time I was like, oh shit, who's this guy? And again, to stand out in a movie where you have Jake Gyllenhaal doing all that he's doing in Nightcrawler, that says something. And then like he popped up in Rogue One, he's in a sea of other stuff going on. So I didn't feel like he really like,
The Night Of.
The Night Of was HBO. A huge, I think a huge get for like him getting to stretch his legs a bit. Venom, he's the villain, totally fun villain, whatever. And I still have never seen it, but the first big thing from him, I believe, is Four Lions, a British comedy about terrorists. Like,
I think so.
Which I still have not seen, and I've heard is brilliant. But I think that was the first like kind of breakout role for him, and then he's just steadily, over the years. But yeah, one of the best young actors out there, and this might be his best performance, period, thus far. Really, really strong stuff.
I agree.
I too loved The Sound of Metal. It was my number 12. Just outside of the top 10.
Yeah, okay.
Just outside.
Are you thinking of ending things, Noah?
Yep, hasn't changed. I've announced it, I don't know how many times on this podcast. My number one favorite film of 2020 is Charlie Kaufman's I'm Thinking of Ending Things, adapted from the novel by Ian Reid. It is about a young couple. They've been together for about 6 months, and they're going to meet the boyfriend's parents. The girl is Jessie Buckley. The boy is Jesse Plemons. And the parents...
They don't want to farm. They got to get to it in the middle of a blizzard.
It's Toni Collette.
Yep.
And
where do I know the dude from?
where do you know the dude from?
The husband.
The husband?
The dad.
Where do you know him from?
Tell me where I know him from.
Where does Gavin know the great David Thewlis from? Well, I would imagine, knowing some movies that you've probably had to watch at some point, like myself, Harry Potter, for one. The OG first Harry Potter.
Maybe.
Or no, he wasn't in the first one. Excuse me. He's Remus Lupin.
Okay, maybe.
He...
Hit me with some others.
We had him in Wonder Woman, the first one.
Is he the bad guy?
Not the main bad guy. That was Danny Houston, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what are you... It's David fucking Thewlis, dude. Fargo season 3. Hold on. We're pulling up his IMDb.
Seriously, like, sell me on something. I don't remember him, and
He's just...
I know the name. I know the voice, and just the face is like,
Knox Harrington from The Big Lebowski?
okay.
Sandra about to be an island.
Yes, okay.
You know,
I'm getting
where
there.
he's just like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
That's David Thewlis.
Okay.
Sandra about to be an island. Forgot. All right. Okay, dude. We are gonna start. We're gonna take a little
do
journey.
this, dude. Come on.
Okay. I'm gonna scroll up, and we're gonna start with what I believe is kind of his breakout role as Johnny in Naked in 1993. From there, we move on. He's in Black Beauty in 1994. Total Eclipse, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. He is the voice of the Earthworm in James and the Giant Peach.
Okay.
He's Enon in Dragonheart.
Okay.
In The Island of Dr. Moreau, he's
Oh.
Douglas. Okay.
Never saw it.
7 Years in Tibet. Watched it at the beach house.
Yes. Don't remember a goddamn thing
There.
about it.
There you go.
Except that pretty guy's in it.
Okay. Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2000s are a little weird. He's in Timeline with Paul Walker.
Oh.
He's Professor Lupin in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, okay. Good. I mean, that is my favorite one.
It's the best one. He's in Kingdom of Heaven, the Ridley Scott one.
That's it. No, I just watched Kingdom of Heaven the other night.
Hospitaller.
And,
That's who he is in Kingdom of Heaven.
okay, no, I'm saying I just watched that the night before I watched. I'm thinking of ending things. So
Oh, you watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
How do you think I knew about the blizzard and them going through whatever? Like,
You
I
could
mean,
have got that from the trailer.
I know shit.
You could have Wikipedia'd something.
How do you think I know they go to their high school? How do you think I know about the janitor? How do you think I know about the infinite
Dude,
timelines?
don't fucking ruin the movie for people.
Okay, well, if you're thinking of ending this podcast now that you've heard some spoilers, don't, because no one's going to lay it on for you.
Well, I definitely want to talk to Gavin about it now more in depth. So, I mean, but we also want to talk about some movies that we
didn't
haven't
make the
highlighted
cut,
yet.
yeah.
So, maybe we pause that conversation, and I'll just say, I adore Charlie Kaufman. I think that he's probably my favorite singular screenwriter, like just top to bottom. I think he's a phenomenal director, and this is the movie I've seen the most from this year. I've watched it 4.5 times.
It definitely does warrant rewatching over and over just to get so
absolutely
many
love
things out of it.
Everything about it. Jessie Buckley is my best actress this year, without question. I would put Plemons up in the conversation for supporting, even though part of you wants to just say they're split leads. I didn't even finish my plot description. They're going to meet his parents at a deserted farmhouse, and yes, and craziness ensues, essentially. And I don't want to spoil that for anybody. And this is a movie that is very polarizing. There's really no middle of the road, like, I kind of... That's why I'm curious to see, like, how you overall felt about it. Because I feel like it is truly you either 100% click with it...
It's right in front of Mank.
And love it. Or...
Mank was 15,
you're like,
this was 14.
What the hell was that? What was the point?
I got to watch it again before I can see if it moves the needle.
Okay, we'll see. So, yeah. A polarizing number one, but 100% my vibe. It's my number one with a bullet. It's like head and shoulders above everything else on my list. add.
From Naughty by Nature, number one with a bullet over here. All right.
I mean, I was thinking more High Fidelity, but whatever. Which is probably him referencing Tretch from Naughty by Nature, but I'm just saying.
I just remember the cover with him and like a black trench coat and a gun.
That stuff just been a phrase forever, though.
I know, but like I just think of the movie. You talk about Sycamore covers earlier.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to get to the honorable mention?
I guess so. Yeah, it was a real anti-climax for my number one. I'm thinking of ending things. It's the fucking best movie of 2020. It's on Netflix. You might have heard of it. If not, check it out. You might hate it though. Fair warning, you might hate it.
I feel like that's a lot of your picks this year. Hey, you might hate it, but I love it. Like that's just the Noah Blanchard story.
I'm just being honest.
Hey, dude.
I like what I like. And
Yeah.
I like Charlie Kaufman movies.
Fair enough.
I like dark, bleak, existential comedies about the nature of existence and love and loss and getting old and decrepit and death and all of that sort of stuff. Synecdoche, New York, also big fan.
You like musicals too, don't you? Like Oklahoma? One of your faves?
Dude, we have to talk about it in depth.
Okay.
Let's honorable mention time.
Okay.
Go for it.
Number 11. I did a twofer.
Or you're going descending order.
Okay, fine. Number 25. No. That's better.
Let's flip it around. Do it. Okay.
Number 11. I did a twofer. I watched them back to back.
Why a twofer at the 11 slot?
Just because it's not 10 and it was close to the top 10.
Fair enough.
Underwater / Seaberg.
These are your number 11s.
Yes. I really enjoyed Underwater because there's a lot. I've been on a fucking Cthulhu kick and there's some crazy shit down there. Plus, I mean, you got TJ Miller.
You didn't want to throw Happiest Season in there for a three-way tie?
I have no idea what Happiest Season is.
It's on Hulu.
Uh-huh.
It's got Kristen Stewart.
Okay.
Mackenzie Davis from the last Terminator.
Okay.
And *Halt and Catch Fire*, which I think you watched.
Oh, that's her name.
Yeah, Mackenzie Davis.
Fucking love her.
So they're lesbians.
What?
But they're not out.
That's it. The Christmas. They're like going home for the holidays.
Yes.
I want to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. Okay.
Mary Steenburgen?
Yes.
Alison Brie?
That looked funny.
It is funny.
Okay,
and
I'm
it's
gonna
charming,
watch it.
and it's like with the best like little tiny Christmas indie movie I've seen in a while. It's
Okay,
great.
well, I've been looking for more Christmas stuff.
Well, fucking go watch it.
I will, because obviously my number 12, I rented Fat Man. I don't know if you watched that at all.
I missed it. Why?
I've sent it a group text. Sorry.
Missed it.
I got to ask Mom if she watched it.
Okay.
It was wild. I liked it.
All right.
Number 12, or sorry.
That was the Mel Gibson, Walton Goggins Christmas Fat Man Santa
Yes.
murder crime extravaganza.
Dude,
okay.
The idea that the premise is that basically Santa gets a stipend from the government because believing in Santa Claus, and he stimulates our world economy. Christmas makes $3 trillion a year. But there's a ton of bad kids in the world these days, so he's not making as many toys. He's not meeting his quota. He's handing out more coal. So what does he have to do? He has to take a subsidy from the government and start having his elves make panels for their like airplanes and shit. Meanwhile, this little shit in middle America somewhere gets a lump of coal and hires Walton Goggins to go murder Santa Claus. And that's all you need to know. Watch it. It's worth the little... I think it's probably like $1.99 rental now with your code, with the discount. It's probably $3.99, but it was like $1 or something. I rented it, and I hope Mom watched. I'm gonna have to ask her about it. Okay, I'm just gonna burn through these real quick.
Go for it, buddy.
Underwater, that I paired it with Seaberg about the biopic about
Seaberg?
Seaberg. Yeah, we're fucking Anthony Mackie's in there again.
Okay,
really good.
How'd she do with the accent?
There is no accent. She's American. Gene Seaberg was born in Iowa. She just happened to move to France.
Is she dubbed in those movies?
No, it's her speaking.
Okay.
It's just she's American.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wild. Subplot about the whole plot of it is about COINTELPRO. I don't know if you've ever gotten any of that stuff like that. Crazy.
No, I know she had a crazy life outside of the movies.
Right.
Yes.
And it is like 10 years after Breathless. So.
Okay.
And again, I thought Kristen Stewart. I know people want to pigeonhole her for like the.
I feel like we're beyond that at this point.
Yeah,
I really do. I feel like
some people want to, but like she's killing it.
I feel like in general, anybody that like, pays attention to anything outside of like big tentpole releases is pretty much on board with like her and Pattinson have completely like shifted the conversation around them.
We'll get to our Pats when I get to my new to me in 2020 segment.
Okay.
Real quick. All right. Number 12 was Fat Man. Number 13, Birds of Prey. Number 14, I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Excuse me?
What?
Birds of Prey or The Fabulous Emancipation of One Miss Harley Quinn?
Yes, that was number 13.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Right. 14, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. 15 was Mank. Number 16, Hubie Halloween.
Fair enough, bro.
Number 17, Guns Akimbo.
All right.
Number 18, Spencer Confidential. Number 19.
I like parts of this list.
Number 19, Vivarium.
Oh, man. 19?
Yeah.
Really did not go for that one. That would be on my worst list.
Number 20, The Lie.
We didn't make a worst list.
We didn't.
Just to be clear. But Vivarium would be up there.
Number 20. Yeah, number 21, Capone. Number 22, The Dark and the Wicked. Number 23.
The number 23.
Yes.
The
Always
remake.
on every list. The remake, yes. Yes. No,
The one you guys missed.
No.
Straight to DVD.
Number 23
Starring
was...
James Carville. Weirdly enough.
Oh my God, dude. James Carville.
I needed a JC, dude. It was the
There you
quickest
go.
one in my brain.
That
I don't
works. Number 20... Number 23 was The Invisible Man.
know. I still have not watched that movie.
It's good, dude.
It's so invisible. I keep
Can't
missing
even see it.
I
Yep,
keep
it's not
fucking
even there.
missing it.
Number 24, Extraction. And
Okay.
number 25, Blow the Man Down.
All right. The Gavin's top 25. Do I have to cut mine to 25?
You can do whatever you want. I want to mention real quick,
Do
because you got
whatever
one of
you
them.
want.
I still need to watch The Quarry. I still need to watch Bloodshot, Peninsula, Becky, The Tax Collector, The Doorman, and Embattled.
Oh, The Tax Collector is a total, would have been Gavin's number 3, I'm sure.
If I had paid for it, probably so.
I remember when I described you were like, "Wait, David Ayers making what?"
Oh, I got a little wood. I got a little mahogany with that one, definitely.
Shia's doing what?
Peninsula.
Tattoos are where?
Have you heard of Peninsula?
Peninsula?
Yes.
That's the Train to Busan sequel?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and The Doorman. It's Jean Reno.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have to see it just because of that. I don't know if it's going to make a list or not. I just want
So
to
those
see
are
it.
your caveats.
I need to
You're a
watch.
need to watch.
Yeah.
Joffrey.
I did have Repossessor on here, but I'm just going to buy it, so it might retroactively be number 1. Just like Mandy
Possessor.
was. Repossessor. Repossessed with Leslie Nielsen. I'm just kidding. Possessor.
We were
was on the
talking
list.
about the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
Dave
like doing
Cronenberg.
them in that order. There we go. Okay, my number 11, just outside the top 10. She Dies Tomorrow from
Okay.
Miss Amy Simons, available on VOD still. Number 12 was Sound of Metal,
Yes.
Amazon Prime, just to remind people. Bad Boys for Life was my number 13. Saw that in the goddamn theatre. Number 14.
Theatre? What?
The theatre.
Theatre.
The theatre. Okay.
I believe I saw Bad Boys in the theater.
Number 14, Red, White, and Blue. This is also part of Small Axe. It's available on Amazon Prime. That one has John Boyega in it, for
Okay.
anybody that cares. Also has a little cameo from Neil Maskell from Utopia.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and
15?
15, Lovers Rock. Also part of... These are supposed to be flip-flop. Excuse me. Lovers Rock is 14. Red, White, and Blue is below it. Those are
glad-
both part of Small Axe.
So glad you got it right.
Lovers Rock, you would fucking dig. Lovers
Okay.
Rock is literally just a house party in the 70s, pretty much happening in real time. And it's fucking great.
Okay.
Definitely check it out. Highly recommend. Some great music on the soundtrack. My number 16, Wolf Walkers. It's available on Apple TV Plus. That's the latest animated film from Cartoon Saloon, the guys who did Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea. So if you like a little bit of Irish Celtic folklore in your animation, a little off the beaten path, lots of heart to it, and just great fun animation, check out Wolf Walkers if you happen to have Apple TV Plus. If you don't worry about it. It's okay because there's not much else on Apple TV Plus. But if you're doing a trial, I highly recommend that. That's the best thing on Apple TV as far as movies go right now. Number 17, DC Noir. Has nothing to do with DC Comics. This is the one from... oh my gosh.
It's from Frank Miller. I got it. Go ahead.
No, it is from George Cosmatos. No, that's not right. That's Panos' father.
Right?
Oh my god.
Don't look it up. Just tell me a name. It
No,
doesn't matter.
It's coming. It's coming to
You're
me.
going to get there.
Pelicanos, excuse me.
Pelicanos. Okay.
George Pelicanos, who works
George
with David
Pelicanos
Simon
brief?
on The Wire, etc. Did what?
I said the George Pelicanos brief.
Dude, there's
The Pelican brief. I'm
there's
sorry.
so many times where you throw in these little jokes that I just like blow right past. So when I'm listening back to them, I'm like, oh, that was really funny. But I
Okay.
don't react to them
That's
in
fine.
the room.
That's why I do
It's
them.
great. Yeah, it's a
they're
little
like,
treat for me.
They're like
the
when
Pelicanos brief. You fucking jackass. Okay.
it's like when Tarantino would leave one cut for his editor just for her. Like,
Right.
oh hey, like it's just why I do it.
Okay. DC Noir it's a modern noir anthology from George Pelicanos based on a lot of his short stories, and it's great. You would love it. I've told you to check it out. Highly recommend it.
Where is it?
VOD,
Okay.
cheap rental. Fucking Ranch Wilder is in this movie
Oh my god.
as a cop. You gotta see it.
Ooh.
Gotta see it.
Plot thickens.
Okay. Number 18, Synchronic saw it in the theater. Number 19, Come to Daddy, starring Mr. Elijah Wood and Stephen McHattie. That was on Amazon Prime. One of the most batshit, wild genre movies I've seen in a long time. Huge recommend. Number 20, Happiest Season. We just talked about it. That's on Hulu. Number 21, The Dark and the Wicked. Saw that one on VOD to
Wow.
remind people.
How did I have that higher than you?
Because I saw more movies.
Probably.
Just taking a wild guess.
Yeah.
Because my
you
list
did not
is
go to
longer.
work for a while. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. To remind people, Dark and the Wicked, it's the guy who did The Strangers. Really fucked up dark horror movie. Enter at your own risk, but we both enjoyed it. My number 22 is The King of Staten Island.
Yes.
Saw it on VOD. Number 23.
The number 23.
God damn it, dude. Too long of a gap. You missed your window.
What was I going to do? What do you want me
You're
to
supposed
say?
to come up with a... You're supposed to say the number 23. The remake.
The remake.
You know, straight to DVD.
With John Carpenter.
Starring... Sure. Yeah.
John Carpenter.
I like James Carville's
I
version
was
better,
gonna
personally.
say, no, John,
personally, but
starring John Carpenter, the Jeopardy winner.
it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But who are we kidding?
No, John,
I'll take Who Are We Kidding?
I thought John
John
Carpenter.
Carpenter won Who Wants to Be a
I'm
Millionaire.
thinking of Ken Jennings. That's what I'm thinking
Fucking
of.
heck. I didn't ask you for a KJ. Okay.
KJ.
Where are we at? Ken Jennings.
I get it.
Stop.
I get it. I thought you
Stop
were
it.
saying just kidding.
We have got
Sorry.
to... We will not let this episode...
Go to 3 hours?
where movies had barely any footprint this year compared to music or TV. We will not let this episode be longer.
Okay, then.
Okay?
Get to getting, motherfucker.
trying
Let's
to.
do it.
Number 22, The King of Staten Island, already did that. 23, 7500, Amazon Prime, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Very tense thriller. We talked about it a bit on the podcast. Huge recommend. Best documentary I saw this year. Haven't seen a lot, but my favorite. Number 24, My Octopus Teacher. It's on Netflix. Beautiful nature doc. Really heartwarming. And it'll get you in the feels. My Octopus Teacher. Check it out. Number 25, On the Rocks, the latest from Sofia Coppola. That's available on Apple TV+. Bill Murray and Rashida Jones. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite Coppola, and I'm a huge fan of hers. That's all I really have to say about it. But if you want to hang out with Bill Murray for about an hour, you could do worse. Okay. Number 26, Bad Education. That was on HBO with Hugh Jackman and Allison Janney about a real public school embezzlement scandal. Really good stuff. Top-notch work from Hugh Jackman. Really enjoyed it. Number 27. Saw this one on VOD. Zappa.
I need to watch it.
Zappa documentary directed by Alex Winter.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was pretty good. Hard to do a Zappa movie in 2 hours, period, and try and encompass anything, much less his entire life. It's solid. I also feel like he could have made a 2-hour doc on any year or album in the man's career. So take from that what you will. A lot of good talking, or no talking heads rather. A lot, or no, there are talking heads, but the clips and the stuff he gets access to, incredible. A lot of like home videos I'd never seen before. If you're even mildly familiar with Zappa or wanting to get into him a bit more, I think that's a good starting point. Okay. Number 28, you are getting so restless. You're so ready. I
stopped at 25. I was nice
You
enough.
said do whatever you want.
Do whatever, it's your show. Do whatever you want.
It's my show. It's the Blanchard brothers.
Right. It wouldn't be a show if we weren't arguing and giving each other face about stuff.
All right. 28, Tiger Tail on Netflix from Alan Yang. Good movie. Check it out. 29, also on Netflix, Horse Girl, starring Alison Brie. Weird little indie psychological thriller, sort of. It'll fuck with you. Check it out.
All right.
A good pairing with The Rental, which is my number 31. But my number 30 was Deerskin, the latest from Quentin Dupieux. Really weird little subversive French horror comedy about a man who finds a deerskin jacket and just can't quite let it go.
I know. I watched it.
You watched Deerskin?
Yeah.
Is it on Prime now?
It is on Prime.
Free on Prime?
It's on. Well, it was part of Shudder. Like I
Oh,
thought
they
Shudder
picked it up. Okay,
Yeah.
I saw Deerskin in the theater.
Okay.
Yeah, shortly before lockdown started. That was like the first week where it was like, I think I saw some people wearing masks going into the theater, but it wasn't a thing yet. If that makes
Oh, dude,
sense.
I was wearing masks before they told anybody to be wearing them.
Yeah, I started like the next day. I was like, what the fuck? That was really weird. I just sat through a whole movie with these guys. Okay, The Rental was my number 31. Number 32 and 33 had a little Sacha Baron Cohen double dip. The Trial of Chicago 7. It's available on Netflix. Had that at 32. Borat subsequent movie film. Of course, is on Amazon Prime. Number 34, little indie psychological thriller called Swallow, about a girl who likes to swallow things. Inanimate objects. It's a real condition, apparently. It's fucked up. Okay? Really fucked up.
Like if you try to eat
Check
a
it
treat
out.
and you swallow a baby instead.
Yes.
Okay.
Or, like push pins. Or marbles. Or
Well, marbles are okay.
toy trucks. Or like, whatever.
That is weird.
But you're intrigued, right?
It's about as intrigued as I am about like that Tickle documentary, that thing that came
Did you
out.
ever watch Tickle?
No.
Dude, Tickle is fucking
I don't know if I can handle it.
Oh my god, it's
I'm
so
afraid,
good.
dude. I've heard so many people talk about
I
like
love Tickle, man.
Okay.
What a journey.
Yeah.
What a journey. Check out that
Jesus.
movie. I think it's on, I think like Shudder has that, or HBO. I don't know
HBO
what
picked it. It was an HBO thing.
Yeah. Okay, number 35, Alex Wheatle. That is the fourth in the Small Axe series. Haven't seen the fifth one yet. Waiting on it. 36, An American Pickle on HBO Max. Seth Rogen. I got literally zero complaints. I enjoyed it. It was fun. 37, Freaky. Just saw that in the theater just recently. Fun time. You know what? That Vince Vaughn, pretty fucking funny when he wants to be.
Vince Vaughn is an FBI agent in Seaburg.
Interesting.
That's my only problem with that movie.
The fact that Vince Vaughn is CIA?
No, the fact that they make a sympathetic FBI character as to almost
you
like
said
a
FBI, and I definitely said CIA. Excuse me.
That's the thing. Like, who? Okay, COINTELPRO got brought to light when they broke into that field office in California, and they basically told everybody, "Your government's spying on you." But it's like the FBI doesn't do that anymore. But fucking the NSA and the CIA totally do that still. They just no one's caught them doing it yet. That's all. Yeah. It's just switched agencies. That's all it is. But they make a sympathetic character be like, well, this is terrible. We shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, there was never a guy there that felt
said
that way.
Right.
Like, it was a fucking order from Hoover on down. Like, follow the bitch, make her life crazy. That's what it was. It played and simple.
By the way, sorry, you took us down a little political sidetrack for a second. You mentioned Hoover. I've been telling you need to watch Nixon, the Oliver Stone director's cut, because it might be better than JFK. And I fucking love it. And I feel like it's underrated somehow.
So don't watch J. Edgar.
Guess who please don't. Guess who plays J. Edgar Hoover in Oliver Stone's movie?
Billy Crudup.
Fucking Bob Hoskins.
What?
Bob Hoskins.
Jesus
dude.
Christ,
Cast
man.
is so stacked, you have no idea, dude.
Jesus.
We got to do that on a retro review. Okay.
Hey, did I take
I'm almost done. 38 Tesla.
38 and you're almost done.
38 Tesla.
One of my spots says to watch. So technically it's not 33. It's only 32 spaces. And these are movies I didn't even see.
38 is Tesla. It might be on Amazon Prime now, but I watched
I've
the
seen it pop
VOD.
up there.
Rebecca, the unnecessary Rebecca adaptation from Ben Wheatley. Ben, I can't wait to see your quarantine horror movie. Rebecca did not do it for me.
Just watch Becky with...
Number 40, The Devil All the Time on Netflix. Had some issues with it as well. You might enjoy it for the Pattinson of it all. And Tom Holland as well, who's very good in it. But it is what it is. My number 41 was The Way Back. with Ben Affleck, which came out way back in February of this year. Saw it in the theater. And the last movie I saw in the theater chronologically in this list, and the very bottom of this particular list, at the 42 slot, is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. That was the whole point. To get through all of those. All of those movies are better than Tenet. Every single one of them ringing endorsement to before you spend the $20 to buy or rent or whatever it's available to do right now.
I thought you were just doing it as a nice homage to Chadwick Boseman. 42.
And yes, and also in honor of Chadwick Boseman. That's why. And perfect segue. Thank you so much, brother. My need to see movies that I would list as caveats. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which comes out on Friday. Cannot wait for it. One of the
got pushed because a lot of people are saying, like, oh, it was out. And I'm like, no, it's not available yet.
It came out in theaters to do limited run,
okay.
and now it comes to Netflix on Friday.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait to watch it. Viola Davis is Ma Rainey. And this is the rare August Wilson play that I have not only read, but also done a college paper on, which I got an A- on for my blues and jazz narratives course.
Oh, golly.
So I was excited when they announced it. I was like, I fucking know that play. I've read that play. And then they announced the cast, and I was like, so this might be the last Chadwick Boseman performance? He's going to win an Oscar. Spoiler alert. If he's even... It's one of those, like, you could put anybody in this role with the way it's written on the page, and they would, like, leap out of the movie to you. But then when I heard it was Chadwick Boseman, I was like, dude, people aren't ready for this shit. It's going to be... I cannot wait. Comes out on Friday. Other big caveats. Nomadland, the latest from Chloe Zhao, starring Frances McDormand. I can almost guarantee that would have cracked my top 10. Her movie The Rider from 2 years ago.
This is the one where she, like,
incredible.
Loses her home and husband and has to go on the road kind of deal
and
thing.
She's just wandering. She's a fucking nomad. Yeah.
And she finds those 3 billboards later on,
outside
right?
Ebbing, Missouri.
Yeah, she stops there and checks those out.
She sure does.
But she finally makes it to Fargo, North Dakota, right?
Yes.
That's her destination.
Yes.
All right, just
I
making sure.
rewatched Fargo last week.
I'm sure you did.
It's on Netflix, by the way, if anybody's in the mood. I just finished season 4. I watch it after every season ends.
Because you got to go back to to center. I got it.
Source. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So Nomadland, and then Minari is the other big one with Stephen Yeun, which looks incredible, and a lot of people were able to see, I believe, at a festival early part of last year. This year, still, I keep thinking we're like, normally we do these episodes in January most of the time, but this is the weird year where it's like, dude, I don't know that we're going to get like a deluge of new movies all of a sudden, and it's not like we're getting the traditional like Christmas rollout of stuff.
For one, am upset because I feel like Kid Cudi just listened to our music thing and was like, oh, it's out, I'm not on it, I'm going to drop my
upset
album.
as a Drake song.
What?
Oh, sorry.
I'm upset as a Drake song.
You said I'm upset and started talking about Kid Cudi, and I was like,
no, just hold on, I'm going home. It'll be fine. I'm sorry. I have a list I want to read to you that I would like to read, not so much to you, but to the 2 people that are still listening this far into this episode that was not supposed to go on very long.
Yeah.
These are films that I found myself, or that were thrust upon me this year, that were not made this year,
like
but are worth.
Alex DeLarge, like getting a friggin' eyeball machine attached to you, dude. Like what? Okay.
Yeah. But I think you should watch them. Okay, I'm gonna start from the bottom, and then now we're here.
Then we'll be here.
Yeah. I want this shit forever, man. Just listen to me. Gemini Man. I watched it. You would like it. You should watch it.
We already talked about it.
I know.
Move along.
All right. The Beach Bum. You should watch it.
We talked about it earlier this year.
It's not made this year. You should listen to it.
I know, but we talked about how...
It's new to me, Noah. The film is new to me. I had to get this voice in, and I'm doing it now.
That was the ultimate, though, where it was just like, you all of a sudden saw it one week, and you're like, dude, have you seen this fucking Beach Bum?
Dude, I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Spring Breaker. Anyway, if you haven't seen Spring Breakers,
on Hulu,
again,
I believe.
Yes.
I would recommend Spring Breakers. Head and shoulders above the Beach Bum, but the Beach Bum's a fun time.
Yeah. Good Boys. Came out last year.
Oh, that's the cursing little kids?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Haven't seen it yet.
Pretty good. 1917 technically came out last year. I recommend that to people. If If you haven't seen
You're talking about the movie that was nominated for Best Picture and made like over $300 million at the box office and was a huge theatrical event that a lot of people are aware of.
it didn't come out in 2020. It came out in
I'm just saying,
2019.
who are you recommending it to at this point? Because I told you at the time, I will never watch this movie again. I'm not going to watch it at home for the heck of it.
Okay.
It was a singular one-time experience that was very good.
I'm saying people should watch it in their home and cry that they didn't get to see it in a theater because they probably would have been able to if theaters not shut down because they would have done a re-release. Anyway, Booksmart. Okay. Solid. Loved it. I've talked about it.
It's on Hulu, I
Yeah,
believe.
it is. That's how I saw it.
I'm trying to help people
Yeah.
figure out where they can
I
watch
appreciate
these
that.
things.
Okay, when you're done with Booksmart, go find something. Little movie called Uncut Gems. You need to watch that movie. That was one that was thrust upon me
Where's
from last
Uncut
year.
Gems?
What?
Why, it's over on Netflix, brother.
Oh, thanks, Noah.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad you're here to tell us this. That's the number 2 thing. If you have to go find something that wasn't made in 2020 to watch, you're just itching for something that wasn't made in 2020, go watch The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Hell yeah. Ringing endorsement on everything you've just said.
And the number 1 thing that was new to me in 2020 that you're never going to find to watch because Noah has the only copy, it's the fucking Long Good Friday. It's the best fucking movie that I wasn't thrust upon me. It was dropped on me like.
This is hold the phone. This is number 1.
This is the number 1 thing that I saw in 2020 that was not from 2020 that I have to recommend to people head and shoulders partly because I don't know where they're going to find it. They're going to have to pay a lot of money for a Blu-ray, but it is like the best fucking thing not made this year.
You better try and shit $400 because if you're going to tell me that To Live and Die in LA is not your number 1 favorite movie you saw in 2020, I'm going to call bullshit. So either shit $400 right now or call me a liar.
Noah,
You like it more than The Long Good Friday. And I'm not fighting you. I just want to clarify for the listeners. You didn't even mention To Live and Die in LA.
I didn't because I forgot about it. I've had a lot of stuff thrust upon me. It's been a tenuous year. I had a lot of 2x2 retro reviews.
I know.
Were you not on a gay cruise? I forget, dude. Okay, fine.
That is one of the best, standalone Joey lines ever. Were you not on a gay cruise?
Fine. We'll do, twofer. We'll do both number 1. They can exist on the same
Those
plane.
were by far the 2 best 2x2 retro review episodes.
Yes.
The best rewatch experiences for me as well. Mm-hmm. I loved sharing them with you.
Oh my god, dude! Listen, I'd even put on the Killing of a Chinese Bookie was up there as well. I just forgot. I knew there'd be more to think
Killing
about.
the Chinese Bookie was a new one for me this year.
There's just a ton of stuff that I don't know. We definitely got to keep the retro rewatch stuff going because it's just fucking Night Moves.
Night Moves,
fucking Cutter's Way, dude. Like fucking,
yeah, man.
you hit it out of the park with movies this year.
We
dude.
talked about Hoskins. I saw Mona Lisa for the first time.
Yeah, I need
year.
to watch. I need to catch
Great
that.
movie. It's on
Let's
HBO
just do the
Max.
Pest of Mona Lisa.
We can if you want
All
to.
right,
I don't
January
really know where the
1st.
pairing is there, but we'll figure it out.
Hello. Leguizamo worked with Bob Hoskins and Mario Brothers.
This was fun. Hold on a second. I want to get in on it.
Okay. Hey,
if I had to pick my top 3 new... Go ahead.
You working for me now. Go. I'm sorry. I had to get a To Live and Die in LA line in
Okay.
there.
If I had to pick a top 3, did not come out this year, but I saw for the first time this year.
The category is new to me in 2020.
Oh my God.
Come on.
New to me in 2020. My number 3, Mona Lisa.
Yes.
Directed by Neil Jordan, starring Bob Hoskins. Great movie. Loved it. Number 2, The Third Man, directed by Carol Reed, starring Orson Welles and Joseph Cotton.
Still in my car. I got to watch it.
And my number 1, and this honestly trumps everything, the best movie I saw all year, I'm thinking of ending things out of conversation here. The best movie I saw all year is Tokyo Story.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was figuring that was coming.
Yeah. Fucking...
You were about to cry last time you talked to me about it.
Oh my God, and I'm just thinking about it now. It's just the best, man. Just literally one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely earth-shattering. Still have not gotten over it and have not worked up the nerve to watch it again. Incredible incredible stuff. But yeah, but I could do that like every year and basically like, yeah, if I rewatched it, it's probably the best movie I saw all year. So maybe that'll encourage you to go watch it. I don't know. Okay, is that it?
I mean, you got Tokyo Story. You got no
You
complaints.
got no complaints. Is that it?
I think it is. I think we did it. This was
the last pod of the year?
I think so, man.
Is this how we're ending things?
I don't know.
Because I'm thinking that maybe we should do something else.
I mean, should we? We've got time.
No, we really don't. No. It is quite late. Holy fuck, it's late.
Not today. I meant like another podcast like
no, I know
before the year ends.
I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, it's almost 2 a.m. and I was totally going to try and finish Euphoria.
It's 2 a.m.
I called it Euphoria.
It's
I'm
Utopia.
totally going to try and finish Utopia tonight. The British series, not the Amazon one. Yeah. So maybe we should wrap this up. So
we should
do that. Okay. This was the year of film in 2020.
Yep.
It was a weird one.
Definitely.
It was a good one though, and I think by and large I didn't tally them up, but it's like a neck and neck race between Netflix and Amazon Prime for my mind share right now.
Which you'll come to know when the bullet hits the bone, Noah. You said 2 a.m. I was making a Twilight Zone joke. Let's keep rolling. Yeah, Amazon, Netflix, the battle continues for our eyeballs.
Yeah.
You're going to be on one of them. I feel like Hulu's just barely catching them up for third place. But Max is about to take it over.
FX stuff though. That's what counts.
Yeah, but
on
Max,
that front.
I feel like
but
Max.
Hulu on the movie front, they were doing a nice steady stream of indie movies and getting them early, like early into their home video life.
Yeah.
But that obviously has dropped off quite a bit. I mean, they had Palm Springs this year, huge acquisition. They had Happiest Season in the holiday season, great pull as well. But I haven't, we'll see. They're definitely in third place right now. But I don't know who's, Netflix might be still the number one slot. But I do love Prime's content so much. And they had a lot of good movies this year. I mean, Vast and Night kind of trumps everybody for like, they gave that guy a chance. Like, come on, man. Like, I love you guys for doing that. I want to know who, because again,
It's Bezos.
it's not though. That's the thing. He has nothing to do with those decisions. I need to know who's actually in charge of the streaming video acquisition side of things, because I know he does not have anything to do with the day-to-day of that. But whoever's in charge, like, I know they're not there anymore, but whoever let Refn make Too Old to Die Young, I want to know what they're running now,
Gotcha.
where that decision making has gone in the creative world. I want to know who that person is. So I need to do a little research.
So are you just trying to add one more person into like who actually makes the thing or what?
What?
Well, you said that like, is it a director that does it? Is it the writer? Is it the actors? Is it the guy who writes the check and greenlights the stuff? Like, is he the guy?
The guy who writes the check is, clearly influenced by the pitch or whatever. This is a whole other conversation.
Let's get meta, bro.
We frankly don't have any more goddamn time for it.
No, we don't.
So, it's been a wild year, people. You might hear from us before the year is over. We don't know. Theoretically, this is the last pod. We got some exciting stuff planned for January in general.
Yeah.
We've talked
It's gonna
about
be a
it.
jam-packed January.
It's going to be exciting. If you have any thoughts on our year-end list, any recommendations of your own, let us know. thearchive@gmail.com. You can shout at us on Instagram at The Archive Network, on Twitter at The Archive, or on Facebook. Just search The Archive. Gavin handles the Facebook. I handle the Instagram. And Mr. Sunshine Mayfield, our good friend, handles the Twitter. So respond to those things accordingly. I want to say a very sincere thank you to anybody who listened to any of our content this year. There's a lot of stuff vying for your attention, and a lot of internal reasons to just be like, fuck it, I want to focus on this thing or that thing and kind of tune out everything. So if we had all helped you like take a break from all of the shit of this year,
We tried. We were trying to be funny the entire time.
yeah, we hope we gave you some laughs, some solace here and there. We hope we did not bore you with all of these 2.5 hour episodes. If you want us to trim them down, let us know. Definitely write in about that.
If you just want us to stick to the bits and the comedy, Probably going to be kind of
can't-
hard. We're not that funny.
The episodes will get a lot shorter.
Yes.
I will tell you that.
Like 15-minute clips.
Yeah,
That's about
but
it.
seriously, anybody who listened this year, thank you very much. Anybody who's listened in years past, obviously, if you only check in with us at the end of the year to see what we thought, we still appreciate you and thank you for taking the time to listen to our little show.
Even if it's a hate listen, I appreciate that. I'm glad you did.
Again, we've talked about this. At some point, maybe we got to go really polarizing, and
Right.
You just got to embrace the haters.
You do.
Yeah, I don't want to be those guys, but
I don't want to either, but I do like it when you read me celebrity sex scandals. That's pretty fun.
okay. I'll try and bring something.
More news-based, more as it's happening. Maybe we don't take 2 weeks for
I
things.
feel like there's enough of that.
Okay. 2-week takes, is that
I
it?
don't know. We'll find that.
That's a new
We'll
segment?
find that niche. Year 5, we'll find that
We're
niche.
going to hit our stride. I
Find
can't
that
wait.
niche, baby. Okay. Again, we may be back. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises.
And we might be giants. Sorry.
Jesus Christ, brother.
It's getting late.
Episode's definitely over now. I have been Noah.
Hang on. You've been Noah. I love you, brother. I've been Gavin. I love you, listeners. And, I mean, you've been listening to what we've been watching, right?
Sure.
Nothing. Is that not fancy enough to write out
You've
on?
been listening to what we were watching in 2020.
Yep.
We're the Blanchard brothers, just to remind you.
Yeah.
In case you forgot.
I'm Gavin. He's Noah. And we'll catch you next year, folks. We hope to God that 2021 won't be any worse than 2020 was.
Yes.
But
And we look forward to all those sweet, sweet Warner Brothers movies going to be streaming into our eyeballs.
Who is that? Screaming and streaming.
The Cajun Warner Brother, the forgotten Cajun Warner Brother.
Is that James Carville from the number 23 remake you just made?
I don't know, but it is now. All right. Love you.
Hello there.
Great year. Solid year of podcasting with you, brother.
I love you, Noah.
We're gonna ride in to the holidays in style, and then we're gonna be back with a vengeance in January with a lot of cool, fun stuff. Please stay tuned.
Because we're Blanchard brothers for life. Get it? You're doing the vengeance
And we
thing.
ain't
Going
nowhere.
Oh my God.
We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now.
Because it's Blanchard brothers for life.